see happen, but Vabs with an incredible 4K. They tried to clear down this tower stairs, but they never actually forced anyone out of Harry Potter. So even though Ben gets the kill onto the Jaeger, it's not enough. Vabs has just sat there, is able to trade that kill immediately with the shotgun, turning around into blue. Both of them haven't even considered that that's still an option. And he gets those kills, and then just a matter of cleaning up. And that is due to the power of the mute. We saw Vabs that time not playing the Jaeger, that had been switched onto someone else, and instead of bringing an extra shield, they instead chose to bring mute jammers, which were never properly dealt with, so no one really knew where Vabs was. And being able to have that much extra space to play with, well, it got him 4 kills in the round there.
Yeah, he's one of these players you could never leave unchecked, and that's a perfect example as to why. It doesn't matter what operator he's bringing, still able to bring a little bit of that razzle-dazzle, right? Able to pull out some fun little kills and set pieces like that. And you keep doing that, well, it really starts to shut your opponents down, because well, what are you going to do when you lose 4 players to someone lurking on Barrel's door? But now, it's Exeter on the defense. They get to have their own little go at things now. I'm going to start on the top floor, much like we saw from Swansea in the first round. And, well, we'll have to see how they do it. A little bit of a different lineup coming out, though. Bringing that Legion, bringing that Ella, a couple more operators designed to slow down your opponent. Just make things a little bit harder to get that early space. As I knew, with the pistol, is able to kill Jack. He's styling on them.
Yeah, I don't... Oh, was he... He might have done the big tower sort of peek from the door over towards Garage, being able to secure that kill, but it is going to be Vabs there to get the trade onto Ben. So one of the lead fraggers for the moment from Exeter has been taken off the board, as Vabs, who had a very quiet week last week. You know, last time out, he really struggled to get going once the alibi got banned and we moved away from that first map of Clubhouse. So it's good to see him, you know, in form here today on Oregon, as there's a lot more of these engagements going on around the trophy room. The shotgun at this kind of distance is so lethal, but definitely isn't able to make it work to completion just yet, as Vabs is still holding on with about 30 points of health.
Yeah, they have this hole open in the breach as well. They can get themselves going on through, but definitely tight on the doorway, like you mentioned before, is going to be a problem. Swings out, gets the pick onto Vabs. Marv, in position, very quick to grab that refrag, not letting things fall too far out of their hands now in the 3 versus 3 situation. You've lost your top fragger, so it's going to be someone else to step up to the plate and try and find a couple of these important kills, these important openings for them. All of them kind of focused around this master bedroom side. Matthew is below, could come up white stairs maybe, try and be that little side push, that pincer, to just diminish some of the rotation options for Exeter. Still a minute for them to play with, though. He's looking for a vertical angle, maybe to try and get a frag grenade onto someone. He's still got both of those in pocket. But for the time being, Swansea kind of slowing down. They're not quite sure how they want to progress from here.
Oh,
that will do it.
What a nade. That sums going down. That's the Jaeger off the board. Utility's already been placed, but that is another gun eliminated from the side of Exeter. Is now this 3 versus 2 starting to go down.
No.
As Matthew wanting to come up these white stairs. Ainu blind prone. He goes to the stand-up, but he doesn't land the shot. Deals a lot of damage, but Matthew's going to be able to take advantage. James is there for the trade as the 2 versus 1 as the diffuser is starting to go down inside of games. He's going to be safe, tucked in his position, but he's going to be trapped there, and James is able to hit the shot. Oh! Spike gets eliminated as well. That's going to be Exeter able to secure their first defensive round.
So while we quickly need to address the fact that this is your opportunity to grab the Canadian meme of standing up on white stairs from Milan and just retweet those again, get those circulating once more. The big thing there is James able to win out the 1v3 encounter at the end. And I think Swansea, you're forced into this position, right? We have one player planting, the long angle trying to be contested by Marv, and he wants to try and prevent this Malusi from swinging, from shutting down that diffuser going down. But what it ended up leading to is 2 1v1 opportunities for the Malusi to take, and James, he's not going to miss these opportunities when he gets them to pull out a very big clutch for his team. And around that, Swansea almost certainly should have won from that position, has now turned around so quickly, and Exeter able to grab that first offensive round is really important because they can continue this cycle of their sets, right? They now get to go back down to this basement, they get to play it out, you win the basement, you move on to something else, but you have that locked in. And getting that first offensive win is really big for setting yourselves up in a half of Siege, for just getting yourself a little bit comfortable. You set the momentum in the right way. The pressure's on Swansea a little bit more now on these attacks to play things cleaner, especially in post-plant situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd like to maybe point out that the player inside a trophy potentially should have just hidden. You know, your guy is on the diffuser, SPAC is probably going to die, but you can hide and play the time, play the bait. But, you know, hindsight is 2020. We can sit here and make those calls. We don't know quite what the comms are. But also, Melusi, she did get nerfed. She's now a 1-speed 3 armor, but being a 3 armor means you can tank a lot of bullets. That was essentially a dock in that fight right there, and yeah.
I was about to say, looks very low HP by the time that was all over. You know, that extra, what is it you get? You get an extra 10 health up to 110, an extra 35 HP total. Not shabby, right? So
yeah.
definitely helps in situations like these where you have to take lots of back-to-back gunfights, keep yourself alive. Who knows? Maybe that's the deal breaker for it, but so many things change, right? Where you can't really pin it down just to one factor. Ultimately, an excellent clutch and an excellent start for Ben in this round as he's able to shut down Vabs, who tried to get in, tried to have that early aggression, that early presence inside of tower, taken off the table. You no longer have to worry about one of those sets of nades, only 2 more in the pocket of Matthew, who has been pretty good with them in the last round, right? Wonderful kill onto Ben, but now one less thing to worry about, one less player to worry about. Swansea, they have this control of the middle floor, but so far no clear way of how they're going to use that to push into the site yet.
Yeah, and this being the downstairs site, you have to deal with at least one of these staircases to give yourselves an opportunity. They are going to see Zach open up this hatch, and these Azami Courier daggers are going to really change up the look and feel of that electrical drop. And without those nades from Vabs, they're not going to be able to get rid of them and make it potentially slightly easier on themselves. As Sums, he's gone on a big flank, and it does seem that Matthew is aware. And Sledge, again, he's a 1-speed 3 armor now, so can tank these bullets at range. The MX4 Storm doesn't have a lot of damage per shot, but Sums just needs to hide and maybe land the headshot. He's completely not aware. Ben is also going to be able to secure the kill onto Jaff, as it's going to be deathly popping up behind the shield, and Sums still on the flank upstairs. Is going to double up his kills in this round, and that is going to be the second round going to Exeter, this time flawlessly.
They look comfortable on the defense on Oregon. It is one way to put it, right? They are not making these silly mistakes or giving up kills easily. This roam game from Sums really patiently played out, just not causing too much noise, not causing too much fuss, not getting involved with Swansea directly, just waiting for them to recognize he's a threat, for them to try and root him out. And then he just plays this hit-and-run guerrilla style of roam, right? Where he's not giving you the opportunity. Grab the kill onto Matthew, start to become a problem using this hatch above to shut down anyone in meeting. Wonderful to see from them, and Swansea really having a struggle with getting these attacks underway. The last round, or the first round of the attack, right? Round 7, they had this opportunity. Yes, they lost Jaff to the spawn kill, but they were able to get that early aggression in with having Javs move up, grab them a kill, give them a little bit of space to play with. Without that initial engagement going in their favor, they're struggling to find these footholds.
Yeah, and you know, this is the importance of being able to have an entry, someone who can just get the ball rolling, you know, create the beginning of that snowball effect, because once you get that first kill, you then give yourself the potential to get the second, and so on and so on and so on. You can just trade your way through the rest of the round, but there is a lot of pressure on Vabs to be that player. You know, you look over at the side of Exeter and you can think, yeah, Ben or Sums could probably go and do that. We did see Pogo last week go and get a lot of those kills as well. We see James this time subbing on in for Pogo. So it's there's a lot more versatility, I feel, at times from Exeter, whereas Swansea, they've got their sort of set list, and if you're able to disrupt that and just even a small way, like getting Vabs, it completely changes the look and feel of what Swansea want to do from there on out.
And now, this lurk, this roam once again coming through, where they have themselves spread out through this middle floor. They have that extension upstairs as well to be able to use this as a catch. Deathly trying to go for a peek on in, trying to catch out Vabs, will get injured. The grenade will finish him off. That's the start for Swansea. They have this control inside of Big Tower. They can start to work on opening up the site, but again, this is the tertiary defensive site. This is meeting and kitchen. You're expecting the attack to be able to get this early control. The big thing is going to be seeing how do they deal with this upstairs presence? How do they push Ben out? Because if they don't have a good way of clearing up Attic, you can be punished so heavily from this hatch.
And 3-1 speeds on the side of Swansea means that they are going to be slow to go for these rotations as that upstairs wall is going to get opened up by the Thermite. Ben being forced to back on out, but not fully out of position. He's just going to stick around and throw out an impact nade for good measure. As with this wall open, Spack is potentially starting to think about going for this plant. Ben can't challenge from the hatch. He has to rotate back downstairs to help his teammate, as Sums is going to be the one to try and hold these longer angles through Attic with that Alibi MX4 Storm. There's a minute to go, and Swansea need to get a little bit more momentum going for them, as Spack is going to take a lot of damage there.
Trying to just rush on in, though. The Goo Mine is going to hit. He'll have to pull it out, but he's been injured in the fray. Matthew gets the long shot onto Ben, still trying to contend with the split. Ainoob is just peppering away. James able to land the kill onto Vabs, and now an effective 3 versus 3 as they're trying to push on in, but the long crossfires being held. No one down in E-Box. That Nitrocell in the Thunderbird's pocket going to be a little bit more difficult to pull off, and well, Matthew just walks in, grabs one, finds the angle onto the second, is going to pick up Spack to give themselves that opportunity to go for the plant. Gav still holding that hatch above, but the last player, they've located him inside a split, holding the angle as he swings in. Marv gets in a forward aggressive position, able to lock it down, able to prevent them from taking another swing, able to win the round.
Yeah, that was Matthew's round, fair and square. We saw Vamps was able to get that opening kill with the down and then the nade, and that gave Swansea the advantage. But even after that, after they opened up the wall, they didn't have that momentum going for them. They didn't have that ability to spring onto the site, and Spack was down, the diffuser was lost inside of the objective, but Matthew comes up clutch for his team, gets some massive kills, and all of a sudden Swansea get their first attack, and it's a 4-5 scoreline. Overtime is still on the cards. Exeter need 2 to win, Swansea need 3. So do you see this one making its way to overtime, or do you think one of these teams will edge it out before then?
I think this round will be the deal breaker. If Swansea can win this round, I think we see an overtime. If Swansea lose this round, I think Exeter are able to take the rest of the map, because this is the site that Swansea attacked that they should have won. Right, they were in that 3v1. James able to pull off a massive clutch performance, but it's going to be, is that start to the round replicatable? Because a lot of these, even the last round, right, it's Vabs getting aggressive on site door by stage, able to get the pick onto Deathly. That alleviates the space for them to open up the breach. You're no longer worrying about a player playing tight on the stage who's going to disrupt you when you walk through the breach to go for that plant. If they can't get these comfort positions early on, they're not really able to set themselves up. And on a site like Master, it's a lot harder to do, and it's all that much more important because you have to clear out armor. You have to clear out these players aggressively playing inside of Trophy. You can see Ainoob already looking to try and get into an engagement with someone. He's looking for the opportunity to pounce. He's standing up inside, but he's not going to get caught out by that angle. He's been around the block. He knows what's going on, able to get that opener for them. This is important, and this is what Vab's been doing for them so many times.
Yeah, that angle from Ainoob is maybe good for a cheeky little spawn peek, catching someone off guard early on in the round, but something like that after about the 30-second mark, when they've probably sent a drone in, you should move back. You should go and sit in Trophy and go, right, okay, well, the angle didn't work this time, we'll work on it in the next round. But instead, that's going to be Ainoob dead, the Goyo gone. One of those C4s off the board, as now we're starting to see impact trick coming through to deny the Selma charges going off on that walk-in closet wall.
I think it's been made crouchable, but they won't be able to sprint through, which gives that extra couple seconds of vulnerability, entering the crouch state, leaving the crouch state before you can move on in again. Got to be careful if Sums lurking around. It looked like they had maybe some indication he might be. I believe it was Matthew watching the meeting doorway, but now moving themselves on into Trophy, just trying to peel away. Play on this game's window from Matthew now, just to try and have that extra presence, right? You cut off that pit angle, but it's these Goyo canisters. Yes, iNoob is dead, but that utility is still available for them. Sums as well, lurking around, looking for this pick on the Jaff. If he moves himself a little bit too far around this Zulu corner, 50 seconds left. Swansea have one opening pick, but they need to find a second. They need to start collapsing on site as the E1D will give them an opportunity. Jaff trying to play below. The swing from Sums not quite coming through. He's playing this so patiently, Dino. And Jaff has no clue because he's just waiting and waiting.
Oh, but does he wait too long? It's going to be Sums to get the kill, but the trade's immediately there. Matthew, Marv, and Babs all coming through with one of their own. And all of a sudden, that 4 versus 4 is now a 1 versus 4. Ben is going to get Matthew on the big window, but the plan is coming through from Spack with close cover there from Marv. And the angle, Ben had the idea. He wasn't able to land the shot. The line just beating him out on that. Such a tight angle as well. And that's going to be that round going the way of Swansea. And you said that this would lead to overtime.
I did, and you know what? I'll stand by it. I think if Swansea can pull this off again, right, you're looking at a basement push. I think Exeter looked very comfortable in their basement push. The big thing you need to see here from Swansea is a more concerted effort to deal with this early roam from Exeter. Because if they allow Sums to be wandering around on the top floor, to have that opening and attic and be able to walk around dorms, he'll come back later on in the round and really put the pain in you. But if you can catch him off early, if that's the first pick that Exeter lose, because he was playing without any support, there's no real rebrand option for them if you can pin him down. And Oregon, yes, there are a couple hatches to pull back from. There's a couple different escape routes. But you just put players in positions to catch the fullback off, and you can do that quite easily on Oregon if you clear that space in a meeting. I think this could be a big round for Swansea. It's all going to be on this roam from Exeter and how well they play out, wasting time.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and
Spack. Oh no, sorry. Sums has done a great job, like you say, of being able to be a constant presence and actually being able to gather some of those kills as well. So he's able to maintain that and just stay as a threat, and we should see this one probably going the way of Exeter, but Swansea aren't messing about. Babs immediately going up towards the master bedroom, getting this door open. Drones going on through to clear out the top floor ahead of him. We do see some players sitting around inside of attic as the sledge of Matthews over on the big window. So this is a very big clear coming through, but we're not seeing any presence over towards big tower from Swansea to attempt to catch these players. As iNoob wants to take that first engagement, the drones though distract him just enough to disrupt his aim, and Vabs is going to get that kill. Now this presence on the top floor is completely in Swansea's hands.
Yeah, and Sums looking to get aggressive on this shower corner. I think he knows Matthew's playing on white stairs. Maybe here's the footprints of the sledge moving around, but well, he's going to back off, and that gives the opportunity for this flank for him to just retake this space back away from them. They didn't have the correct setup to deny it, and now he's up above them once again. And I said they would need to clear out this roam. They did a great job of taking iNoob down with some brilliant hot droning, but now things get a little bit dangerous. They have this control in meeting. They're starting to work away on these hatches and give themselves extra options to apply that pressure into the site defense. But Sums walking around is going to be delivered the freebie of the sentry onto Matt. Able to grab the injure, able to grab the kill and get away, and more importantly, keep himself alive. He's still a problem for Swansea. A minute 20 in the round, Dino. Oh, and he goes and grabs a second onto Babs, looking for the third. Does he grab it? No, Marv. Finally able to halt that nonsense, to put that to rest. A minute left to play with. They've got the hatches open. They've still got utility in pockets. They've got 6 stun grenades. Those 2 impact EMPs, if they want to try and shut anything down last minute, could be helpful for catching a nitro cell perhaps, but that's a little bit more of a niche use. Now, they've got to get the information. They've got to figure out where these remaining defenders are playing.
Yeah. All 4 nades on the side of Swansea have gone, though. Don't see many Ema daggers out, as iNoob was the first to die in the round, but there are still going to be some in position to disrupt things, as Deathly sitting close with the shotgun. The EMP goes close, but he's going to play on this angle. The E1D doesn't detect anyone, as that's going to be Jeff able to secure the kill onto Ben as he attempts to go for the swing down the hallway. The shotgun close from Deathly is going to give his position away, and not doing enough damage to get the kill onto Marv. It's going to be a down, but not a kill as Jeff is there to secure the refrag. And that is now going to be Swansea coming behind from, what was it, like 3 to 5 down? Now 6-5 up. 1 round away from being able to take the victory here on Clubhouse and evening the series out at 1-1.
I have to say, I think this is a tremendous bounce back from Swansea, right? And you have a core, just Spack, Jaff, been playing together for a really long time now. All of this season so far, all of last season on that team. Vabs coming back in, a player who has played with both Spack and Vabs before, reintroduced. That is a very strong mental core to your squad, right? When you have new players like Matthew and Marv who are coming in to join you, to be able to just, you're losing, right? You're losing rounds, you fall behind in a series, you hold tight, you fix your mistakes on the fly, and you come back and turn these rounds back in your favor. And the big thing in that round for me is just like, they are pushing together. Right, this is something that we failed to see at times from Swansea last week, where we see players just trying to play for themselves a little bit too much. No, in that last execute, everything was done really well between the remaining 3 members. They were droning for each other right up until 30 seconds, giving themselves as much information as possible, using the stun grenade to deny the play inside of Pillar, so that when you drop, you have 1 less angle to worry about. Jaff watching the long angle, preventing this hallway swing, preventing that crossfire into the E-box drop. Everything was really clean from Swansea, and that's what helped them win this round out. Even if I will say, Deathly, perhaps a little bit robbed on that shotgun. That was unfortunate not to get a bit more damage done onto Marv, but that happens sometimes, and that's the way that pellet spread works. You've got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, the shotgun believes in you if you believe in it. Maybe Deathly just needs to have a little bit more faith in that shotgun, but...
I don't know, Dino. I feel like I have lots of faith in shotguns, and I still never get kills. But that might be more of me being bad rather than shotguns working against me.
You just don't believe enough.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Right. I see.
If the shotgun's not working for you, it's either just not your day, or you just don't believe in it enough. As definitely putting on a prime example of that in the previous run, as you mentioned. And now Sums, they know you like to roam over here, my friend. You're going to have to think of something different, as Vabs has been able to work his way all the way through the top floor and is able to catch the rotate as Sums wanted to run down that green hallway back towards the safety of the site. And Swansea, in what could be the final round of this map, have already gained the opening kill advantage.
Yeah, still no pressure around Bunker. Swansea focused on clearing out this roam first, right? And Sums, last time around, able to sneak back up behind them, get a bit of damage in. Don't want to have that problem. Ainoob no longer on that Azami, now rocking the Maestro, so you can expect him to be a little bit more focused around the site. Those Evil Eyes giving a little bit more information close to home, but that could be something they have to deal with later on, especially if they try to use the flashbangs to clear out space once again. That extra information tool opening up for the defense. The hatches being peeled away now. As you can see, all 4 remaining members of the defense focus on different pressure points, just trying to get that early information on where this Swansea push is going to be coming on in. And for the time being, I'm not quite sure. It looks like they might end up rotating to play around Laundry and Freezer, with drones coming in, no clearance over Bunker, but Vabs looking for this pressure on Small Tower. The ping coming out to indicate that the Wamai is tucked into the corner, Dino. They're going for all 3.
Yeah, and we saw that all fall apart for Exeter in the very first round of this game, as the nade's going to start to come on out from Vabs, but the Wamai discs are there to catch the first. The second one goes deep and is going to force Ben slightly out of position, but isn't going to be able to secure the kill, as Deathly is going to be there to assist his teammate and eliminate Vabs. There's now 4 versus 4, 20 seconds to go. Matthew's good for 1, as is Spack. It's now 3 versus 2, as Ainoob is there to eliminate Jeff. And just double up as well.
Oh!
They've nerfed it so much, but in the hands of the right player, it can still do so much. Spack is just going to run away. Ainoob is just going to run away at Spack, who has the diffuser inside the site. He needs to go for the plant, as Ainoob is going to drop down the hatch and attempt to cover all of this space and get back over towards, but he's going to be off the diffuser just in time. Goes for the swing, but Ainoob is there to get the kill, and we are going to be going to overtime. Golu, your prediction was correct.
That was a tight one. Ainoob played it brilliantly, just getting out, getting that space between him and Spack, forcing him into that planting position. Good job by Spack to find a spot which isn't covered by that Evil Eye to get it down safely, but the problem still was that it didn't have the line of sight to zap you, still had the information going. And with that, Ainoob able to just put himself in the correct position to take the last gunfight. the push from Swansea was very good and very quick, but you can never count Ainoob out. Being able to turn and get that double kill, it's these slight gaps that makes Siege so enjoyable to watch at times, Dino, right? A half-second opportunity for Ainoob to grab the first kill in Laundry, turn around and grab the second in Freezer, and he pulls it off flawlessly. And then to cement the clutch just to end things off, brilliant. And this isn't the first time we've seen an Exeter player be put in a disadvantaged situation and come out on top against Swansea. Ainoob did it just then. We saw James do it in round 7. Right? This Exeter team, they're showing why they're here. They're showing why they beat Swansea before. They are an incredibly deep roster.
Yeah, I mean, in that round, the reason why Ainoob was even in that position to be able to get that clutch going was because of the work that Ben and Deathly did, holding down over towards this backside, over towards the big tower stairs. Deathly being able to get the headshot onto Vabs, you know, playing around the tight angles inside the site over towards the stairs, getting that initial kill, and then Ben still being a presence, still being a threat, completely shutting down that part of the attack, meant that Ainoob's position was never really challenged, and that is a very strong power point if no one's coming through from Big Tower.
Yeah.
And you see what you can do there when you've got an 81 bullet fire hose laser beam of a gun on your side, and you can flick around the speed of light. So a good round there from the entirety of Exeter, as Sums is once again going for one of these roams. He's all the way up in Big Tower, maybe trying to be a bit cheeky with it.
Yeah, just looking to try and find a pick. It worked on Jaff at the start, right? Able to get the spawn kill. I want to say it was actually Ainoob who got that kill in the first round on the Ella, but still waiting around, and they haven't droned out all the way to the top of tier 3. And you're looking at the way they're holding downstairs in the basement. This is a way that Swansea have been pushing. If you're able to climb down that ladder quietly enough to get behind Swansea, catch someone out by walking down the staircase, grab yourself a couple kills. Pretty lethal stuff, but so far Swansea very much focused. They've cleared out the top floor. No immediate rotation point for the Alibi to get into Attic. No impact grenades. It would require use of that bailiff, which is going to make a little bit more noise. So they can focus on clearing out dining. They're looking to get through kitchen into meeting, and Sums is now going to activate halfway through this round. But the drone is coming up the tower, will spot him out. All this time going into this, not gonna reward him. I say that, gets involved in the gunfight with Vabs, who's forced to reload due to the small magazine in that ARX. Now going for the repeat. The swing's coming through, but it's going to be Marv. The first to fall is James, able to get him, and now this pressure being applied to the E-box hatch, but nothing able to quite come of it. Sums able to escape down to the basement and rejoin the rest of the team, just shoring up these positions once again. And now Swansea, a minute left to play with here, Dino. No members found.
Yeah, a pretty big gap in the Swansea collapse there, allowing Sums to be able to work his way back to site with 2 players nearby, as James is going to hold down this freezer angle. Oh, the timing. He just held it for a second longer. Potentially, we could have seen something going there, but now we know that, well, everyone knows that there's a player coming through from freezer, and James is nearby to defend it. Utility's starting to come through from Big Tower, but it's going to be Sums. He was able to get away before, and he's going to make you pay for it as he's going to get the kill onto Spag. Jaff is there with the trade immediately, but it's going to be Deathly, and just a collapse of kills coming through as the trade's closing out. But it is still going to be the defenders of Exeter to get that round and get the overtime going in their favor.
Yeah, Swansea unable to use the same sort of utility that they have in previous rounds to force players out of pillar. And what did that mean? Well, when they go for this push, they're forced to rely on the staircase. You can't really drop the hatch into the waiting arms of Ben, who has the crossfire with Sums inside of bunker, right? You haven't cleared out these positions that we saw them work to do so in the past. They're forced into these chokes. The Exeter players more than happy to take these gunfights with them, able to win them out, able to win out trades when needed, and they have that man count advantage before the collapse happens, right? So you're trading blow for blow. Well, eventually Exeter are the one left standing, able to put themselves up to match point. Swansea now onto the defense, gonna choose to play down in the basement. They've won the basement the last 2 times they tried it. They did lose it the first, so we have seen the win condition for Exeter. It's if they can clear out this roam early on. Vabs back on that window is going to be playing around this barrel's doorway. They saw what happened last time with him getting that 4K. They've invested the shield in him once again. they've put the trust in this position. It's going to be on Exeter to clear it out
Attackers must
efficiently.
locate and defuse a bomb.
I'm not so sure I like that shield there.
Interesting.
Right, so normally, shield there, big yes.
Okay.
But with Vabs playing the mute and he's placing his mute jammers near there where he wants to stay hidden, that shield is just going to draw utility towards it, and it's going to make it a big flashing symbol that there's someone sitting around here who needs to be dealt with. Maybe part of Exeter's confusion last time they attacked and ignored Vabs was because they didn't think anyone was there because the shield wasn't there. Maybe I'm overthinking this one, but I would have preferred to see it without once more and just go with that. But Swansea obviously realizing what they did before was successful and trying to capitalize on it by bringing more of the same and a little bit extra to the table, as iNoob is getting pretty close to wanting to take this fight. He is concerned about someone being all the way over on the west-hand side of the map, but Matthew is just going to benefit from that. No drones going in ahead means that iNoob is easy pickings.
Yeah, they didn't expect this play, and you can see iNoob waiting for his gadget to recharge so he could hide away from the camera in freezer, right? You walk past, anyone on cams doesn't see you, thinks it's safe, boom, you're in sight. You're causing problems for Swansea. Instead, Matthew able to get the jump on him, shut down that threat, and now it's going to be interesting to see how Exeter adapts to this, right? You lose that push, Sum's now rotating over, then trying to be that wedge, forcing themselves down this power staircase, but unable to really catch much out. Vabs peeks up over his shield, deathly takes his head straight off. This is a big opening for them as James, of the smoke canister, just going to force Deathly off a little bit, takes some damage from that, but keeps himself alive. James going for this hatch drop now, all of Exeter going for this hatch drop, just forcing their way into sight. The swing from Marv, close to the bomb chassis, grabs one. James shuts down the highway player. Matthew from Freezer grabs the kill back onto Deathly, but Sums plunging through the site has put themselves in the 1 versus 2 situation. The Toxic Babe going out, the Prisma being pinged. They know exactly where this player is sitting, and Matthew able to capitalize the information coming through. The swing is timed perfectly. They shut down the push, but Exeter so fast on that go button.
Yeah, that's something that we've seen quite a bit from Exeter, actually, that when they say we're going to go, they go. And a lot of these rounds, we've been seeing it sort of, you know, a team will get 1, maybe 2 kills to start off, and then it will sort of slow down and stop, and then there'll be a big explosion at the end of the round. And we've seen quite a lot of times sort of 3-4 kills pop up on the kill feed in a matter of seconds, and that just decides the whole round. So the coordination coming through primarily from Exeter, but we're also seeing it a little bit from Swansea, has been very impressive so far today.
Yeah, it's been very cool to see a team that is just willing to pounce. And I think that's one of the things that has really made Exeter quite scary on their attacking rounds, right? Is one small opening. Ben gets the pick onto the white stairs, jumps straight in and starts challenging pick. There's never that doubt in them, right? They look very confident on these attacks. And now it's a defense that they need to win this last round out. A big part of this for me is just going to be seeing no one challenging Babs too early on. We've seen Ainu standing up on that position, trying to get the little spawn peek off. I don't want to see players committing to these spots too long. Give yourself a little bit more chance to play around the map, because if you deny Swansea these opening picks, if you deny them that quick kill to get space on the top floor, we have seen them run into some difficulty trying to get that control of Master Bedroom and opening up the rest of the site.
Seeing this attack from Swansea be a little slower than what we've seen from them before. Typically, Vabs have already been secured on this position, but better safe than sorry, as Matthew is going to be holding position inside of Garage, making sure that no flanks are coming through, but it's Sums that they need to worry about. He's gone all the way up to the top of Big Tower. He's going to punch out a big hole in the middle of that window. So everyone's going to know that there was someone over there, and they're going to be concerned about it, but Matthew is still holding down this flank as iNoob in a bit of a precarious position, but he still goes for the fight anyway. Gets eliminated by Vabs, but Ben is directly there for the trade. Loses a lot of health in response, but that is nades and the Iana's infinite drone off the board. It is a Nitro Cell lost in response as Jaff and Matt, you're so concerned about this flank, and rightfully so. They're onto you, Sums. They know that it's going to happen at some point. That's going to be an untradeable kill going the way of Swansea.
Well, Breach opened up. Control inside of Trophy in the hands of Swansea. You're looking for this rotation. Matthew trying to get the off angle. Maybe go big window. Maybe start to pressure White once again. But just looking for that next angle to catch the remaining defenders a little bit off guard. Cut down some of their movement options. It's going to be big window opened up. Definitely turning around to try and deal with this pressure. But this push is continuing to focus around the main breach. Just cutting this defense in half as... well, trying to deal with it. The Nitro Cell flying on out. Nope, just being prepped. Never mind. Wants to hold it in pocket for later on. The drone has a nice little angle onto him, though. Jaff peeked that away, but definitely goes down, trying to move out from behind bunks, afraid of these potential nades coming through. Well, Jaff gets Ben as well. It's all on James. 4 members of Swansea pushing on in. He gets the first onto Marv. Trying to walk around. There's no cover for the planter, though. These 2 remaining attackers are on the windows opposite. Matthew gonna jump on in, but does he know that James has rotated around? Has to be very careful of the angles he gives himself over to. The Tracers flying to the wall, but James playing this so patiently. The rotation coming in from Jaff to regroup with his teammate. So he's gonna have to jump through the window. The spray coming through, but still no awareness of this Jaeger's pressure. The flashbangs to try and give them that cover will work successfully as they're able to bolt on in. Sees the spray. James gets the kill onto Jaff. Looking at the rotate to your left, though. No. Matthew able to get there in just a pinch of time. Right at the split second he needs to secure that kill, and James was a split second away from pulling off a second clutch. A 1 versus 4 that time, Dino. But alas, it was not to be. Swansea Storm turning Oregon around to bring it back. They win the first map. They tie up the weight. It's now 1-1.
It was an 18-kill game from Matthew there. I mean, we saw some incredible performances coming through there. I believe it was James on the side of Exeter who had 17 kills in response. I mean, what a map 1. We've potentially got 3 more of that on the way. Yes, Swansea being able to win out on Exeter's map pick to start us off.
And that is the start that Swansea needed, right? Especially coming out of last week, you lose 7-4 to Exeter on Oregon, first map of the series. That's the pace setter. You win that first map, you get that little advantage coming in, and now you get to move on to your map, Skyscraper. You're not looking down at 2-0 already. We're now in a best of 3, effectively, right? You got Skyscraper, you got Chalet, you got Clubhouse. Those will be the 3 maps to split the difference now between these 2 squads, and well, it'll be interesting to see how our next map, Skyscraper, plays out. But before we get there, Dino, we're going to jump to a very short break. Get yourself a snack or a drink, but make sure you're back. Tank said E and we all agree that we're just too broke. Fill it back up, so we left your truck on the road with Ro. Then we found a motel with a cigarette smell, so we knew we're close. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. Is where I can find some peace of mind to make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. 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 We play Tupac Sharak and we turn our music up when he raps about hope. We hold our thumbs high and hope someone is kind enough to give us all a ride. And we wouldn't have a clue if we'd make it back to or even where we'd go. But we don't need a map, everywhere is home. A Ford stopped on the street, said where you trying to be. We said we don't really care, we'll know it when we're there. We took on down the road, he flipped on his radio. Santeria started slow, so we knew that we were close.
I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. 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 Home is where I can find some peace of mind and make my way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road.
Transcend humanity with Omen.
What is that?
It's cutting edge VR, Flynn.
It looks like it's something from the future, you know?
Flynn took a trip to future London, saw something she wasn't supposed to. Now people from there are trying to kill us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Null Winter Split Grand Finals between Swansea Storm and Exeter. I'm Dino, and I'm joined here by the one and only Golu. And Golu, we've just seen Swansea take our first actual played map of the series. It was an 8-7 barn burner on Oregon. Exeter, of course, coming in from the upper bracket, having that weighted map advantage. We're now going into map number 2. It's actually going to be Swansea's map pick, and it's going to be your map pick. It's Skyscraper.
I'm really excited to see a skyscraper finally. Look, do you know what? We've been here the last 3 weeks, right? And I think every week has opened with me saying, I'd like to see a skyscraper today. And you know what? Third time's the charm, because we finally got it. Map number 2. We get to see a bit of skyscraper come out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these two teams have prepared, right? It was Swansea's map pick. Exeter, they only get the one ban beforehand. Is this a case of something that they've practiced and prepared for, or is this just that there were other things, other maps more problematic they wanted gone? I'm hoping it's the former, not the latter, right? I'm hoping that both these teams are coming in with the game plan. They're ready for this engagement, and we saw last week Exeter bringing out the theme park. Now, I'm not saying theme park and skyscraper are the same map. Then they play out quite differently. Skyscraper generally leaning to giving attacking teams a little bit more of that chance, but it is another one of these maps which is a little bit more on the fringes, right? A lot of teams won't prepare it, they won't practice it, they won't play it, especially for the best of one stages, because you get 4 map bans, your opponent gets 4 map bans. The chances of seeing a skyscraper or a theme park are basically 0 if you don't want to see them. That's all different in a best of 5 grand final. I'm very excited to see what these two teams have.
Yeah, I mean, the map that Exeter instantly banned both this week and last week was Cafe. That seems to be their no, don't put us anywhere near that kind of map. And that's a map which relies a lot on verticality. And, it has sites that you go back to a lot, and you have to clear the whole map basically every single time. And Skyscraper has got quite a different feel to it. So I think that maybe if it's the style of the map of Cafe that Exeter have an issue with, maybe Skyscraper isn't going to be such a big issue for them. But if it's due to the complexity of the map, Skyscraper is going to be pretty painful for them, I think.
It will be interesting to see how the operators change up the map, because I think the general idea with most of teams defending Skyscraper is you want to play one of the top 2 floors. They're the more comfortable ones. You want to extend across as much space as you can. It's a little bit like Villa, where you go for these horizontal extensions. You want to shore up space. If you're defending Karaoke and T, you still want to have that pressure, that presence around Office. You still want to be able to slow down the attack coming in. How far across you go will obviously depend from team to team, right? But that's the idea. And if you've got operators in play like the OSA, who we've seen both teams lean into on Oregon, we've seen both of them rocket out on Theme Park last week. This is the sort of operator who really thrives when you have these longer spaces that you need to clear. Monty is someone that we see arise on Skyscraper now and again, with teams choosing to go for these more direct approaches, especially onto Karaoke and T, where you can walk up Black Stairs or you can walk in from the balcony and just start to put that immediate pressure onto site. No, the first ban taken away by Swansea, a large map like Skyscraper where you have lots of different entry opportunities. You'd want to deny that sneaky little operator who can crouch in behind you.
Yeah, we saw how much of a threat Sums was just at any given moment, attack or defense. He did like to bring out that Nook as well. So it makes sense kind of from Swansea to choose to get rid of that, but Exeter getting rid of the Jackal, really wanting to lean into that roam play. The Jackal wasn't an operator that was picked by Swansea though on Oregon, but then again, like you say, Oregon is a much smaller map than Skyscraper. The rotations are much more linear and are easy to catch out, so maybe we would have seen a little bit of that Jackal come through if Sums was being exceptionally effective, as Valkyrie is going to be our first defender banned, and I mean, we might see the Mirror get banned here, close it out, or we might see something a little bit different.
Well, that Mirror taken away, right? You don't want to have to deal with it. It's a very strong tool to have at commanding some of these longer lines of sight. You're looking at the roaming options. Geisha on old Skyscraper was like one of your classic bread and butter mirror sites, mirror rooms, I should say, because it wasn't actually the site. But I think that still kind of reigns true today, right? Lots of strong positions you can shore up, and despite a lot of the floor being soft, you can play from below with something like a buck or frag grenades. Not something you really want to spend too much time worrying about. Jaff instantly locking in that Azami, and this is a pick I really like to see coming out from Swansea on the defense. You're looking at how far you want to extend out. You're looking at how much space you often want to try and play with. The deployable shield already being put down on Shrine. Having these keepers just to continue this extension, right? You can throw them as you're falling back. You can throw them as you're pushing forwards if you're taking space back away from the attackers to shore something up. The flexibility of a tool that just burns away at time on an extension is invaluable.
Yeah, we did see Exeter try and bring it out a decent amount on Oregon, particularly when defending downstairs to cut off those lines of sight, but we have to sort of be more effective on those defenses when they didn't have the Azami. So maybe it'll be the same here. Hopefully that Azami will be It was Exeter who brought the Azami out on Oregon, so maybe Swansea will be able to rectify those mistakes and be able to use that Azami in a more effective manner, as we already see a cheeky little bit of aggression trying to come through from Marv playing close on that doorway, but not going to be able to get the kill onto anyone just yet.
Drone also positioned in gives an inkling to the attack that Marv is on the staircase, as well as the barbed wire, which will create a little bit of noise as he tries to walk through it. So another opportunity for Exeter to try and catch him off guard. They are starting below, looking to try and get some pressure in, as Ainu've just been able to walk on down. The barbed wire in front of him should be tingling. That should be the clue. Marv, well, I was about to say loses the gunfight, but the swing straight onto the head of the Osa is able to turn that one around. Takes a lot of damage in the meantime, but still alive, still a threat, and still holding down the position. As you lose that Osa, you lose the ability to reposition those Talon shields. Interesting loss for Exeter now, as they have to kind of rethink this attack a little bit. You've still got that pressure for the Nomad, who's actually able to get the injure onto Marv. Then walking up Black Stairs will be able to catch off Vabs if he overcommits to try and pick him up. Definitely goes down. Spack trying to move for the pickup, will get injured as well, able to get both of them, but Vabs shuts that down. Yes, you lose the 2 injured players, but now the Nomad forces Repel on into sight. Vabs shuts them down as well, keeping control for his team. James, the last alive inside of Geisha, has a 1 versus 3 to overcome. Did it on Oregon, did it on the defense side though. Can he pull it off on the Twitch?
Have to wait and see. He did lose the 1v4 to potentially seal the game. Also on Oregon, also on the defense. So there's potential for this to go either way, but you have to put the advantage over towards Swansea. They seem to have an idea of where he is, and Vabs on that alibi just deals so much damage in the initial engagement. Now, even with the Twitch and the F2, it's not enough to slow that down. Vabs has moved over to the alibi and has picked up exactly where we expect him to be. 3 kills in the opening round.
Yeah, and a lot of that was just catching off that aggression, right? Ben able to get the injure onto Spack, able to secure both those kills, but in doing so, looked away from the doorway where Vabs was going to be swinging from. And I think in part, that's just due to not expecting another player from Swansea being in position to play for a trade. Right? If Spack's going for that revive, you're thinking the coast is somewhat clear, but it wasn't the case, and Vabs just playing very carefully around these lines of sight, moving into the correct spaces at the correct time, able to get all the important frags that Swansea needed to shut things down. I was surprised, though, I will say, by how quickly Ainu've was able to walk in on top of Black Stairs. No one on that deployable shield in Karaoke, just watching for him to come on in. A little bit interesting, but they were able to kind of overcome that.
Yeah, sometimes it can be difficult because you expect that just the presence of the utility will slow people down from pushing. And then because the drones are able to be sneaky, you're still thinking that utility is there to stop them, and then they just find that little seam and work their way on through, and was almost able to secure the kill. But unfortunately, the P shooter that is that PDW that Osa has as her alternative primary is not the best in those super close engagements, as the 416C of Jaeger was able to come out on top there. As we're going to see Marv, he was doing so well. He was doing so well, but he couldn't resist himself. He's gone for performance.
It's alright this time though. You got the Kona stations, you're playing that Thunderbird, you can get back to kind of reinforce yourself here, right? And Swansea on the other side of the top floor now for their defense, right? Playing an exhibition and office. It's the other side that X are going for. Still focusing on clearing out T and Karaoke, getting that horizontal space, and trying to open up a bit more of the site from the other side, give themselves a bit more space to play with. As you can see, that main breach being worked away at, but definitely taking some damage from the top of Shrine. Fabs gets the chip damage, falls back, doesn't want to risk his life, doesn't want to die, just wants to continue to be a problem for Exeter as they're setting up these SAM cams on the other side of the building, expecting these flanks to come off. Swansea are more than happy to continue to waste this time with phantom pressure.
Yeah, and it's doing a really good job of delaying Exeter. We do see James sitting out here on the balcony, potentially holding just this little pixel angle to slow anyone down, as Fabs, he didn't run away. He stayed hidden inside of Drum and could be in a position to go absolutely huge here. He gets the kill onto Ainu. That's the 0 dead. He's aware of one more close by. It's the Iana, but he's not able to secure the kill. Ben with that G36C is able to secure the kill, and Matthew is there. Trade out onto Deathly, and Spack picks up one of his own. All the kills at the moment going the way of Swansea. It's just James and Sums to try and win this one out. We've been able to open up a little bit of breach, and we do have James on that Thatcher with the EMPs to potentially deal with any extra utility that's about. But 2 versus 4 with less than a minute to go, it's not looking hopeful.
Well, they still have some time to play with, but you're right. Swansea setting themselves up in these positions, have crossfires enabled. Some's making a bit of noise on this terrace doorway, which could startle Swansea, could cause them to turn their heads, but they are very much focused on these breach. Just waiting. Marv has the pinch onto the window, just waiting for them to push in. The long angle from Vabs being used to dissuade Sums from taking this jump. Everything is slowed down for Exeter now. They've got 20 seconds to make a move. The thing's coming through. He knows that Marv is playing in such a tight spot. The long angle from Jaff being held, able to reward him with a kill. James goes prone after jumping on in and finds the first, but still 3 more to find. And with 8 seconds dying away, he has to try and get the plant down or find the kills. He'll do neither. Jaff holding this position, still just contesting on these long angles, peppering shots away, grabs the final kill again, and Swansea hold tight once more.
Yeah, I'm trying to... I know it's only been 2 rounds, so to give a full analytical breakdown is, you know, maybe a bit much. But I think the big thing that I'm noticing here is that the executes from Exeter aren't as tight. Like, when we were on Oregon, it would get down to about, you know, the minute mark, maybe even 35, 40 seconds. And then we would see 3 kills flash up in the kill feed, whether that was going the way of Exeter, whether it was going the way of Swansea. It would always be at that consistent point, and we would see lots of kills happen at once. What we're seeing here is Exeter getting caught out earlier on in the round, getting chipped away at, and then they don't have enough people to go for that big final engagement, and it's sort of, well, try and do this in a 1v4 or a 2v4. So maybe it's a level of unfamiliarity with the map, or they just need to settle into it. Sometimes with a big change in sort of map styles, it can take a team a couple rounds to really get comfortable with what's expected.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this is part of it leaning back into one of these less commonly seen maps, right? Where teams are just perhaps not as prepared as you might want them to be. But they still got to work around that. And you should expect them, if they're going to bring it out, you reach the finals, that's sometimes something you just have to work out. As well, Vam's working away at just giving himself some of these vertical angles to watch down into the site below. Still sort of very focused on having this extended roam, no matter where they go on Skyscraper. And I think, especially after the first 2 rounds, you highlighted it, right? Exeter, they struggle with these executes. You want to deny them as much time as possible to get themselves set up, and that's by having this roam game. The Gemini tries to go in, instantly shot out. There is never an opportunity for them to set themselves up comfortably. The drone goes in, shot out. Jaff doing a great job of just slowing things down inside of Geisha, and in a safe position, where the moment these grenades try to come through, he's able to fall back safely if he wants to. The final grenade gonna come through, but that's 3 of the 4 available already used by Exeter, all 4 used, and they lose a pick, and they lose a second pick. Jaff he's just locking down Geisha. There is nothing you can do. Sums looking to try and drag something back, but at this point, he's playing all by himself on the worst end, and Jaff finds a 3rd kill, Dino. Sprays coming through the wall are able to get a 4th onto Ainoob as well. Exeter, they've just fallen away. Jaff is immovable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Geisha being able to hold that down is going to be Vabs to get the final kill onto James. Flawless round coming through there from Swansea. Oh, that was an interesting attempt there from Exeter. I don't really know what to say. They've been able to, well, in previous iterations of this map, you know, Geisha didn't have, or wasn't it was always a power position, but it was really, really hard to hold because you had that single wall that led outside, and you could be cut off by the mirror or by the window if you attempted to go for the rotate. And you've still got some of those issues here. You just need to be a little bit more concerned about the players sitting around inside of the middle behind those boxes. And Exeter didn't really challenge onto Geisha in the appropriate way. They just kind of opened up the window and threw a bunch of nades in and went, well, we should be able to jump in now. Which,
You couldn't.
yeah, that's not how that works.
Yeah. I think another one for me is just like, it was a little bit of careless use of information, right? You're throwing a drone in past the boxes. It's going to be shot out before you get a chance to use it. Drop it on the balcony, jump it over the window. Then if Jeff wants to commit to trying to swing onto your drone, you at least have someone who's able to have that threat, be able to try and trade out with him. But you can get that drone in other ways. I think if you get the information on Jaff, you see there's an ADS there, you can try and force him out a little bit earlier to get that space. Maybe play for the breach as well. Give yourself some hard breach utility on the table so you can actually work for that second entry point, which Geisha is going to be your primary focus. But now Swansea, they get to restart the cycle. You know, they get to bring back some of the classics sites, right? They get to go back to tea, they get to go back to karaoke, and their setup is very similar once again. The big change for me, Jaff, he's 6-0. He's been a bit of a demon on Skyscraper. He's no longer rocking that Azami. Keep him with the Jaeger, give him that comfortable gun, give him that strong utility, just to go a little bit unleashed.
Yeah, this was the operator that he was playing, I believe, on the very first round where we saw iNoob just sneak his way on in, and we're not going to see an exact replica of that round coming through from Exeter. They are choosing to commit a lot more to this cross-floor take coming on in from Museum and attempting to deal with some of these roamers, but that does open themselves up to the potential of getting flanked, and we've seen how much these Swansea players like to go for a flank here on Skyscraper. And with this big opening, we could see Jeff potentially go for a drop down, but with the shield still available, he's going to want to play around it. He goes for the kill and gets his first death of the map, as that's going to be Ben able to secure that one. And now Exeter with a lot of control, starting to try and move on up, but it's going to be massive to get the kill onto Deathly, and he's going to drop down that opening into the lobby and work his way back on up to his team.
The Claymore being dropped down behind as well to give themselves the option, but, well, Vabs getting a little bit aggressive, gets the pick onto James. You still have one form of hard breach alive in the pocket of iNoob, but, well, Marv shuts down Sums' push. Yes, they lose Vabs, but still keeping it somewhat even. It's a 2 versus 3, but Matthew very low on HP, which means he's going to be best utilized in a crossfire position, Dino, right? He's going to be wanting to assist someone else in grabbing a kill. The spray through the wall, tickling Marv, but he's able to get out alive. iNoob now looking to wrap around behind him. Does he hear the footsteps of the Thermite waiting? Well, Matthew will land a very long shot. iNoob able to grab one, swings for the second, but no, Spack on the crossfire has him. Ben looking to push on through, will grab Spack back. It's down to Marv. He doesn't know he's on the corner, and he walks straight past him. Marv able to grab the final kill for the round, and Swansea continue their so far unbroken hold of Skyscraper.
Now we're starting to see why this was their map pick and why they wanted to come here for their first choices. Just very strong defenses, and Exeter, it's not just the coordination of going, right, let's all push at the same time. It's sort of just at points in places a systemic misunderstanding of what the best way to take the map is. That attack there from them was one of the better attacks that we've seen so far, but they still struggled with the issue of Geisha, and they didn't really come with, in my mind, all of the right utility, because I want to see that gold quad wall get opened up to give you guys an extra avenue into the site and to force the defenders out of T room, give you that opportunity, but we didn't see that come on through, as Swansea's perfect rotation, as you say, is continuing, so they're going all the way back on over to their second site, the Museum, for a nice little go at that one again. And this was one where Exeter didn't really even get across the map. It ended in a 2 versus 4 because the roam killed everyone else.
Yeah, Rome's killing people's happening a little bit over here on Skyscraper. I think Swansea just clearly know how they want to hold on, and Exeter, the team that don't quite have the same sort of coordination on their attacks here, right? We saw brilliant pushes on Oregon, and a lot of it was being able to expose the spaces left open, right? It was quick, intuitive pushes where they showed no hesitation. That isn't the same here. Maybe they feel less comfortable on Skyscraper, less willing to take these risky steps, right? Because being quick on your attack is risky. You can push in thinking something safe and get completely caught off, but sometimes those risks will massively reward you in the end. And I want to see that a little bit from Exeter now. They got 2 rounds to play with. What you've tried before isn't quite working out. Take a little bit of a risk. Dropping the EMP through just to give themselves a little bit of an option, right? Turn off any Goo Mines or any Banshees, and Inoob and James, they're both just inside of sight, using the EMP as cover, the rotation hole, getting a little bit of damage done onto James. He's the one with the diffuser in his pocket, so he's the one that you want to get alive, get into sight, but Marv from the top of the house stairs is able to get 2 very swift kills, and that shuts that rush down. Sums falls to Marv again, who's on for a triple kill, looking for another. Well, there's one behind the table watching this long angle. Inoob able to deal with Marv, able to take him off the table. 3 versus 2, Jaff making it 3 versus 1 as he continues his top form. Definitely, they know where he is on this Terrence doorway. The sprays coming through from Dragon just make it so difficult for him to push on in. No opening next to him, so he has to rely on pushing through the doorway to get in towards the site. The angles are being held. He's going to rotate. The breach has been closed because they could never get that mute jammer off Dino. And he's going to walk straight into the waiting arms of Vabs, who will collect the final kill for Swansea to just keep on rolling.
Thatcher's not banned. You're bringing a Thatcher every round. Open up a wall, please, please, please. I beg. I beg. They have the single wall over by VIP that is accessible from the balcony, right next to where Marv is playing. If you open that up, Marv can't sit on those stairs and be as comfortable. Yes, there's going to be challenges coming the other way from over towards Dragon and all of that sort of stuff, but you know, if you've got that pressure there, that wall open, then Marv can't be as aggressive. You just need to have someone nearby holding it, making a bit of noise, and then that push from the rest of your team coming through the single door in Garden, you can be more effective with that. You get a better opportunity to work your way on through. But this is what I mean by like a misunderstanding of how to take this map. You Exeter have like half of the idea a lot of the time. You know, like they know they need to take Geisha, but then they're not entirely sure how or what the best way to do it is. They know where they want to attack from and how they want to do that stage of the push, but they don't have all the setup around it that you would need to make it a really comfortable attack.
I don't quite know what the immediate solution is, right, as well, Dino, because sometimes you'll see a team attack and you'll be like, okay, they're just missing that one thing to turn these rounds in their favor. They're just missing this one little pinch, but it's like a lot of the times it's a small thing they're missing, right? Oh, it's one thing they're missing, but there's no small tweak to turn rounds over. A lot of times they're just losing out on this roam. They're not quite able to find these kills on a map where previously we've seen them be able to pull off very similar plays. I feel like it's just a comfort thing. Swansea now back into kitchen and barbecue, just waiting. This upstairs roam, still a threat. Exeter taking a little bit more time before they make their first move this time around. And I think that's a good thing to see. If they can just posture themselves a little bit better, maybe Swansea deliver a kill into them. Jaff's still the problem, but no, it's going to be Matthew. Able to get the opening pick onto Inoob. You take away that Zofia, you take away one of those players who is willing to make that aggressive push, who made that aggressive push in the last round. Swing on in though, it's James looking for the kill back. He's able to shut down Vabs, gets back on that rappel and moves away again. So not risking too much, but just playing for these frags. The Nitrocell in the hand of Marv, not being thrown out just yet. Lands on the top of the window frame though, Dino. Not quite on its target.
Yeah, we're seeing Exeter, they're so spread out. They're all taking these individual engagements. Eventually we see some sort of trade coming on through, but it's a bit too late. Marv is there to get the kill onto Deathly, but Ben is finally able to catch up to one of his teammates and is in position for the trade, but then Jaff is just gifted a freebie as someone who has had to drone themselves in and then jump on in, gets caught out by Jaff as Ben is there. Is going to be able to secure the kill onto Spack, but it's Matthew to trade it back straight away, and now it is just James. He does have the diffuser. He is inside of the site. Both of these defenders are positioned upstairs. There is a hatch of one of the objectives that they can use, and we're seeing Matthew starting to work his way down the stairs as plan gonna come on through. If he's able to get this down successfully, it's gonna force a lot of the time onto the defenders. But they've already collapsed onto his position. They know roughly where he is, but they're not gonna get aggressive. They're gonna wait for him to go for this plant. That's when he's isolated. That's when he can't shoot his gun back at them, and that's when it's the best time to strike. They're just slowly making their way forwards, clearing out all of the angles and limiting the spots that he can be hiding. And he goes to the plant again, trying to bait them out, force a bit of movement from them as Matthew goes for an impact nade, biffs it a little bit, damages himself quite a lot. The follow-up is going to do a little bit of damage onto James, but he's able to swing on through and get the kill onto one. But Matthew's holding the angle, and James exposes himself, gets killed, and Swansea with the perfect half. The defensive sweep coming on through. A 6-0 start to Skyscraper.
Well, this is an interesting turn of events, shall we say. I was not expecting that. I have to be honest. In theory, I think Skyscraper is a map that attackers can definitely have strong halves. I think if you look at the highest levels, it changes region and region, but Europe generally seems to have this attacker-favored aspect to it. I wasn't expecting that to necessarily be the same case, but I was expecting the fundamentals of attacking Skyscraper to show through. Maybe we see a 4-2 defense half, maybe we see a 3-3. If Exeter come out on fire, maybe they keep up the trend. But instead, 100% win rate for defense so far on Skyscraper today, and 100% win rate for Swansea on Skyscraper today. This could potentially be a 7-0, Dino.
I mean, we've wanted to see Skyscraper the entire split, and now we get to see it, and it's probably going to be the shortest map that we get to see of the entire split. So, I mean, every silver lining has a cloud, I guess.
Oh dear, Dino. Oh dear. But I think there's a chance, right? Like, you can't write Exeter out. 6 rounds is a massive hill to overclimb. It will have to be a pretty flawless defensive half from them, right? A big mistake early on, that's going to allow Swansea to start to snowball. But it comes down to how well Swansea are prepared to attack themselves, as Marv disconnecting. Well, that's a big help to the start for Exeter. The question is there time for a rehost, or was that too deep into the round? We'll have to wait and see, but for now, Swansea just have to play to the whistle. They have to try and find that man count back. They're waiting just to see what happens. You're looking to try and play for a kill, looking to try and drag something back, and ooh, James getting aggressive onto Vabs is the opportunity that they were looking for. Hits the shoulder, doesn't secure the kill. Capcan able to escape. And now, Dino, you're a minute in. They've opened up this office wall, starting to force these roamers back, but you still have Bandit and Legion lurking around, with definitely moving in to get a little bit more aggressive. They are so focused on taking this aggression to Swansea.
But it's going to pay off for them there, as AUE was going to be able to secure the kill onto Matthew, one of the standout players so far today for Swansea, as Vabs is there to get the kill in response back onto AUE as he continued to stay aggressive. Minute 30 to go, 3 versus 4. Unfortunate disconnect coming through from Marv. It does not look like we're going to be having a rehost, as Ben is there to get the kill onto Jaff, and now this is going to give a lot of confidence over towards the side of Exeter, but confidence can be punished as Ben, wanting to get aggressive, gets eliminated instead by Spack, and now Spack and Vabs. 2 versus 3, James, Sums, and Deathly, all players who have had good performances before, but have struggled here on Skyscraper. Deathly is yet to get a kill at all, as James is still attempting to place down these Capcan traps to catch these attackers off guard.
I love just the courage to do that. Just how bold that move is, right? And it's something that could go unchecked, because we saw Vabs pull out his drone, scout out ahead for himself, and Capcan traps get more lethal the later on they occur. Sums walking in, trying to take the gunfight onto Vabs, but he's able to turn it around in his favor. The long angle from Deathly gets him his first kill of the map, and now the crossfire for Spack to overcome the Capcan traps in the doorway as well. A little bit of tick damage onto the Cade, but that's going to be Deathly's signal to start to rotate around, try to get behind Spack and force him into an uncomfortable position, using the Selma to give himself potential rotation in, but has to be very careful with the Capcan traps, which aren't on the doorway. They disappeared, but still, James able to turn around in time to secure the kill. And, well, a nice little attempt by Spack and Vabs to try and drag that back. But ultimately, we are going to go to a short rehost while we get Marv back into the game, or maybe pause it while he joins, but we'll have to see what's needed. Until then, Dino, Exeter able to grab the first round back, and a lot of that off of a very aggressive roam game, something which Swansea were doing themselves and kind of struggled to overcome in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make judgments off one round. It's hard to make judgments off one round where one of the players disconnects before anything happens. I mean, we all know how good of a player Marv is. You know,
Yeah.
he was basically the key bright spot for Swansea the last time they played Exeter. He was the one who stayed consistent throughout. So
Yeah.
his loss early on in the round is going to be massively impactful for the entirety of what Swansea wanted to do there. So I'm. Good job, Exeter, actually being able to win that, because
Yes.
if they'd lost that, that would have been pretty horrendous. But Swansea, if you're them, you got to go, well, that sucks. We didn't get our rehost, but now we've got a little bit of time to do a mental reset. We can go back into this. It's still our map pick. We've still got the 6 rounds. We just need one attack. I don't see this going on for more than 2 rounds after this.
Yeah, especially because each round they win, you move to a less and less comfortable bomb site, right? I mean, you get to start off here, you have that roam game extended by Office. Next time you're playing Office, Swansea, I'm assuming, will go for a roam clear from the opposite side, starting with taking away this control of Geisha, get a little bit of pressure on the breach and the window, make it a little bit hard to move around inside a site, and then hit from the opposite side of the map, so that the options that you have to move out of the site to are just being watched, and you get collected in the kills. And that's something that we didn't really see Exeter do on their attacks. They didn't tie up their site pressure to their roam. And I think on Skyscraper, where it's a little bit smaller than other big maps where you see extensions like Villa, you want to make sure you have the ability to catch players as they rotate. I think that's going to be a big opportunity for kills on Sky, and that's going to be the big thing for Swansea. That's how they were able to get a couple of these kills, right? As players are falling back, you have these pre-fire angles, these long angles, or just players waiting in the wings, like we saw Vabs on rappel, able to catch off the terrorist fullback. It worked for them, even in that man disadvantage, even though they'd already lost 2 members and they're playing back in a 4 versus 2. The round came a little bit closer than I think Exeter would have liked it to be.
Yeah, that was still potentially a round that could have gone Swansea's way when... Was it when...
Was it Spack in the 1v2, I think?
Yes, it was back in the 1v2 when he went for the initial peek onto
Oh,
the doorway.
yes.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he could have gotten the kill onto the Capcan then, and then Deathly's on the other side of the map going for a runabout. And it's like, yeah, you can work your way on in. You don't have to worry so much about the Capcan traps. Obviously, keep an eye out, but like you've killed the Capcan. The other
Yeah.
guy was over there. Someone's probably on a drone going, he's run down the house stairs for some reason. You're like, sound mate, I'm going to go for that plant. And then we see this go the other way. But, you know, timing happens. We saw lots of timings affect lots of rounds back on Oregon. And this
Yeah.
time it affected that round in the favor of Exeter. So, you know, even in a 4v5 with everything going against them, Swansea's still very strong here.
Yeah, those are also the rounds where like something like a weird, wacky claymore that's been thrown out because like you're just like, oh, I have a claymore, let me throw it in this random doorway.
Yeah, I've got
those
2
those are
claymores
always
now.
the one. Yeah, it's like so. Oh, I put a claymore on this common run out. Oh, I have one more. Guess I'll chuck it on this staircase, and like it just happens to catch someone off. Or oh, I guess I'll chuck it like on this table, and someone like vaults up to it for some reason. Like those are the rounds where that always happens. A random claymore never gets a kill in an unimportant round. I feel like it's always like a 1v1 or a 1v2 that like brings it back for your team. It's claymores are weird. They
It's like
always strike at weird times.
it's like the frost mats that just get placed on like
Yeah.
stairs, you know.
Yeah.
It's always the important rounds. But then I guess in the important rounds you're a bit more pressed for time.
That's true.
So you're not necessarily as sort of thorough with some things and you miss that random frost mat on the middle of the staircase that
The best ones are like the claymores that are placed when it's like you're the only person alive and you just have to like defuse the bomb for a free win, and it's just like in the middle of a room and you like walk through it. Oh, it feels so bad when that happens. It hurts so much to see, but like it always happens. There's always a way of it happening at the worst moments. I can't remember what the game was, but I know it was like an old NA Pro League of like there's the famous clip of the Rook running into the Claymore on like a 1v1. It's like overtime. Like
yes.
overtime match point or something. And they put their opponents on like match point because of a Claymore when it should have been them. Like things like this always happen in Siege. It's a wonderfully stressful game.
Yeah, I saw someone win a 1 versus 2 the other day, just through claymores, and they were actually lying in one of the claymores, so they killed the guy and died from their own claymore to win the round. It was most distressing, but you know these things do happen.
It's like when bodies stayed in the game before it just put the operator icon as like a sort of floating image, and you'd see like frosts. You'd like there was an old strat of like you TK your own frost like on top of the map. So then like the body like lies down on top of the
Yeah.
mat, and then when you try and jump in, like you can't shoot the frost mat because the body's in the way, and then you just end up getting like your legs taken out. I mean, a terrible investment of your life, but very
Yeah,
funny.
a bit extreme. You know, did see. Believe it was a Newell game or some form of University Siege game a long time ago. Diffuser was down. Claymore was placed behind the diffuser. Someone stood on top of the diffuser, died, fell over onto the Claymore. Then when the guy went to disable the diffuser, stepped into the guy's body, clipped through the hitbox, and then activated the Claymore and died. And
There's
yeah,
also if we're thrown back for iconic Uni Siege moments, I want to say this was the beginning of like Winter Split 2019, or it would have been Winter 2019. Yeah, Winter 2019. I want to say you were casting this one. It was a Clubhouse game
I might have
where
even been playing.
a team dropped the diffuser through the floor on Clubhouse. So it's on an old Jaeger himself video, but basically it was Swansea purple. So that the fourth Swansea team, they planted the diffuser on server in like a 1v2 or like a 2v2, and then as they left, the diffuser just fell through the ground and just like disappeared under the map. That's one of my standout favorite moments.
I'm trying to rack my brain because I either played that game, casted that game, or watched that game, but I
I
cannot.
want to say you were casting that game,
I might have been. I've been
but
in this
I could
business
be
far
wrong.
too long. You know, they all start to blur together after a while. But we are going to be getting back on into the game shortly and just getting the lobby all set up and ready to go. The players are rejoining.
Well, we shall see. I mean, look, either way, we had a fun little time to reminisce. Some of the fond memories of bugs being wonderful in Siege. it's it's a bit like Skyrim, right? Where like Skyrim, you love Skyrim for some of the weird bugs that happen. And I think it's interesting actually, like more times now you see bugs get criticized, whereas I think people used to be a little bit more forgiving around a lot of them. Like, I mean, how buggy is Skyrim? That game just never ceases to stop being buggy. But
There's
it's
no
always
bugs in Skyrim, they're features.
but it's always in the most wonderful ways that it happens. There was the what's the paralysis spell? Where like if you Fusro down and then paralyze yourself, you like slingshot through the entire map.
I will
Brilliant.
like to admit I have never played Skyrim.
You've
So
never played Skyrim.
no. The first
How
game
have you never played Skyrim?
the first game I ever owned on PC and that was Siege, and that was in 2017. And
But
I
how
sort of
have you
just
never
forgot
played
to
Skyrim?
install anything else. Um,
But it's on everything. It's on like Amazon Echo at this point probably.
don't need any of that, mate. You got Siege.
There's a great I forget which Bethesda event it was. It might be one of the recent E3s where they did like a trailer where just like as a joke, because they've done so many special editions, they were just like, oh, now you can play Skyrim on like your smart fridge. And it's just a guy, or like you could play it on an Etch-a-Sketch. Just a guy sat at an Etch-a-Sketch at a table, just like drawing Skyrim. Mate, it was brilliant. Brilliant trailer.
Well, we had the lobby set up, and I believe we're having some players are disconnecting. So I think, oh, actually, looking at the messages we've got here, the rehost being called at 2:30 means that the rehost call does actually stand. So that round, the Exeter won, is going to be replayed. 5 versus 5, T-room defense.
Interesting.
I think we're going to throw to a quick little break while we get everything set back on up, as we don't want to bore you with any more of our, year-old Uni Siege stories. But please don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly with the final few rounds of Skyscraper. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are seconds from getting underway with the second half of this Skyscraper game. There's lots of S's here. It's Swansea Storm, Skyscraper, second half, seconds away. Like, maybe this is why Swansea are playing so well.
Just
Swansea
the power
Storm,
of the
Skys.
S.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that mean that for Exeter to win, we'd have to see Emerald Plains?
I mean, I would put money on it. I would say, yeah, Exeter would probably win that map. However,
Interesting.
fortunately, we don't have Emerald Plains in the map pool, because I can only imagine that map is horribly uncompetitive. But we'll
You're not an Emerald Plains enjoyer, Dino?
let's just say it's one of the ones that I ban every time in ranked.
You're the reason why fun maps never get played, Dino. I hope you know that.
I'll tell you what is a fun map. Skyscraper.
It is a fun
Coastline.
map.
Border.
No.
Let me tell you the maps
no,
that don't
no,
come up
no,
in my
no.
ranked pool.
No,
Skyscraper.
no.
Coastline. Border.
Coastline and Border, I could not agree with you on any level. Not good maps. Ship them.
No. Fun maps.
They're not even fun. You just die everywhere. You can't stand anywhere. It's too small. Give me Villa. Give me Theme
Sounds
Park.
like a
Give me
skill issue.
Skyscraper. It's not a skill issue.
It sounds like a skill issue.
I've had this. It's not a skill issue, Dino. You're making me angry.
Goldcaster gets mad.
I'll have you know I'm Copper 5.
Well, everyone's Copper 5 this season. Rank 2.0. Very interesting to see how it plays out.
For a change.
All casters have finally achieved their true rank.
Let's go. But yeah, we are nearly underway with the game that's going on. Our grand final game, for anyone who's joined us back, Swansea Storm, Exeter Terrific. Exeter and Swansea, both one map apiece. The weighted map going in Exeter's favour, because they were the winners of our upper bracket final, weren't they, Dino?
Yes, they were. That was a best of 3 that went all the way to the third map. We didn't see any overtimes there, but it was Exeter who looked like the better side from start to finish. And I mean, for a large part of Oregon, Exeter still looked incredibly strong, but Swansea were able to get the win there. Then we've come to Skyscraper, and it looks like Exeter are still on Oregon, at least geographically. But it was a rough half to watch, I'll have to admit.
Yeah. Swansea looked very strong on the defense, and Exeter didn't really have a clear game plan of how to break Skyscraper down. And what that meant was there were a lot of holes left open in their attack that Swansea were very good at exploiting. You've got lots of aggressive players. Marv stepping up, getting some big kills. Vabs, of course, doing Vabs things. Jaff didn't die until round 5. So that tells you enough about how he's been playing this map.
Yeah.
Tremendous performance from some of the boys. But now it's time for Exeter. They're the ones moving on to the defense. And we had a bit of a rehost mishap, didn't we, Dino? Marv disconnected a little bit into the action phase before any gunfights had taken place, which means Swansea were allowed to rehost. The round was finished and Exeter won it. Now they have to replay it. And I think this will be a big deal for the series as a whole. If Exeter can keep their confidence coming out of that, because that is quite a tough situation to have found yourself in, right? You win out the round. Now you have to replay it. You have to earn back that round win. You're still looking down a 6-0. Swansea still 1 round away from taking this map home. We're looking at a potential situation where the 7-0 is still on the cards.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit shaky. Exeter definitely in the mental game. They are going to go back to karaoke and tea. See, same operators being picked out again as. I mean, Swansea will probably see them take a slightly different approach. A lot of the power in this round is now definitely in their favor. You know, just because the teams are going back to the same site, same operators, doesn't mean that they have to do exactly the same strategy. So the adaptation that we're going to see here, we might see Swansea choose to ignore some of this roam clear. We might see them go about it in a slightly different way. What do you think?
I would expect Exeter to play a similar style of hold, and I think that's just because you saw what their roam was able to do in terms of engaging with Swansea very early on. The picks that... So the replay rules, for those of you unaware, is that you have to play the same site and the same operators, right? The big one for me is this Cat Can, because we got to see a whole round played out with that Cat Can pick. Swansea will be aware that it's something that has to return to the table, so you go into the round with the foreknowledge to watch out for some of these EDDs. That does give you a little bit of an extra heads up, especially when usually that slips your mind as time goes down. You've already experienced it once. You're going to be kind of ready to encounter it again. But Aynoob this time playing very differently. Last time he was above, trying to help with these breaches. This time lurking around inside of bedroom, just trying to potentially catch any of these Swansea members who look for any of this vertical presence, right? We've seen Matthew, he's very good at placing these nades in very good spots to find kills from below. something to watch out for, and it looks like Babs is going to be trying to deal with it early on, and he grabs the pick onto the Bandit.
Yeah, we saw Ainu being hyper-aggressive upstairs previously, and he was, you know, he got the opening kill, I believe, for Exeter. He was traded out quickly afterwards, but he was able to have a pretty solid impact on that round. This time, positioning gets caught out, and the frag nade coming through from Babs almost stacked up for a double kill onto Ben, but the second kill and the third kill are going to go the way of Exeter, as that's going to be some Capcan traps, and then Ben coming through with the headshot. Matthew is there immediately for the trade, so within a minute and 15 seconds, we're already down into a 3 versus 3. We've got the Kaid, the Capcan, and the Alibi left alive. Sums has had a very quiet game so far, but it's going to be James jumping on out, handing the kill to Jaff, as takes a lot of damage in response, but it's going to be Sums coming alive and getting the kill onto Spack, and now it's Matthew left in this 1 versus 3. We might see the scoreline still shake out as a 6-1 after the first T-Room defense.
Well, a little bit of work done on him. The ping's coming through from his team to try and indicate the potential location of Sums, or where that diffuser has been dropped. But Sums able to land the shots through a bit of the wall, had that hold, given the information, but brilliant job lining up the head. And you said it. Despite the rehost, despite that little bit of a falter for Exeter, they are able to bounce back and win that first round. And that is very important for them to do, well, because if they'd lost the round, they would have lost the map. Now they get to continue this very miracle run defense, right? Where you're looking at 5 more flawless rounds. It just takes one little curveball thrown out by Swansea to catch you off guard, and you'll be doing your very best to ensure that does not happen. And to keep things in their favor, they're going to continue to rely on some of these more quirky operators, Dino. We saw James get that Capcan track kill onto Marv in the last round. Now adding that Frost into the mix as well, just really trying to punish any poor drone work from Swansea that comes through.
Yeah, and with a lot of windows that you can jump in from, sort of throughout the map, having that frost, you know, just putting the frost mat under there, it's either going to force them to make a lot of noise when they jump in from shooting it out, they either have to throw a nade or some other destructive utility to deal with it, or they're going to get down. And if they do decide to jump in and shoot it on the way, well, you can just shoot them because they're not looking at you. So, a frost in a situation where you expect the attack to come from the windows, which a map like Skyscraper, you're going to expect the attack to come from the windows, is a pretty good combination in my mind.
Yeah, you want to try and just catch anyone off guard, and Ainoob, he hasn't quite had the same presence on Skyscraper so far. I think that's fair to say for all of the members from Exeter, but you're now looking at him to be one of the players who can find some of these quirkier kills. Caught off on his roam in the last round. Wants to try and keep himself alive a little bit longer, but Babs will shut him down instantly. Marv, bring in that Thatcher. That was something you highlighted Exeter didn't do to get this breach open and up. Swansea not making the same mistake. They have access into office within 40 seconds and now start to play around exhibition as they're getting the breach opened up on the single wall as well, Dino. They listen to what you're saying. They're taking the Dino coaching course.
Well, we did see Exeter bring the Thatcher, so Exeter were doing that. They just weren't doing a very good job of it. But Swansea, this is what we need to see. Just by having that wall open, it's not even fully open. They haven't fully dealt with the Kaid electrical. They can't do a whole load with it. But you just see Ben on these stairs. He's scared. He can't play as aggressively over towards the site. That upside down rappel is going to deal a lot of damage onto him as well. He's going to just have to remain concerned about this avenue that could come his way. And this is going to really disrupt and pull apart the defense. This is a much better way to attack Skyscraper than what we saw from Exeter.
Oh, the barrel sticking out, but that's not the hitbox. That's not going to be the thing that deals the damage. The Nitro Self thrown out, just to add that extra question mark that Matthew has to think about. But so far, not taking the engagement. Takes a lot of damage from the Capcan, but is able to actually win out the fight and get the kill. Lives on 1 HP as Ben is trying to contest Babs and Rappel, able to turn it around. The Candela's flying in from Jeff, but they still don't want to jump on through. That frostmat on the window will have to be contended with. They are able to get one. They are able to push on in for a second, but Deathly, playing behind the counter, is able to shut down Matthew. The plant going down, the long angle being watched. Matthew having the cover from the head height holes. Swansea able to take the site by storm, able to have the perfect cover and get the perfect round, and a 7-1 victory on their map pick of Skyscraper, Dino.
Was that an intentional play on words, sir?
Well, maybe.
I'm just making sure. But yeah, like you say, Swansea took the site by storm, took the whole map by storm. I mean, yeah, Exeter, I don't know whether that's just a map that they don't know very well. It might be a map that they've never really practiced, but they knew that one of them was going to make its way through, and they definitely didn't want to play Cafe. So that's that sort of over and done with. 2-1 to Swansea, really.
This is where it gets a bit interesting right now because Swansea are moving themselves up to the series point, one map away from taking our grand final victory. Exeter came in with the weight advantage, but so far struggling in the server. They have their map pick of Chalet up next before our decider, should it be needed, is going to be Clubhouse. But you'll have to wait just a little bit longer to find out if Swansea can finish off the series or if Clubhouse will be required. We're going to jump to a short break. We'll be back very soon.
We don't need them everywhere is home. A Ford stopped on the street, said where you trying to be. We said we don't really care. We'll know it when we're there. We took on down the road. He flipped on his radio. Santeria started slow, so we knew that we were close. Home is where I can find some peace of mind and make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. 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 Home is where I can find some peace of mind and make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road.
Transcend humanity with Omen.
What is that?
It's cutting edge VR, Flynn.
It looks like it's something from the future, you know?
Flynn took a trip to future London, saw something she wasn't supposed to. Now people from there are trying to kill us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the grand finals of the 2022 Newell Winter Split. We've got Swansea up against Exeter. Swansea coming from the lower bracket. Exeter given the weighted map advantage, but it's Swansea now. 2-1. They've got the lead.
Yeah,
What's going on there?
I mean, they were able to take away Exeter's map pick of Oregon. 8-7 in overtime, came right down to the wire. Then we got to see Skyscraper, and Dino, our hearts sang with joy because that is something I've been waiting for a long time. You've been waiting to see it. We saw 8 rounds of it. Swansea able to take a pretty convincing win, a very strong defensive half into a good attack to win them out the map. Now, we're back on Exeter's home turf. They got to pick our third map for the series, and it's going to be Chalet. Now, this is one we had a bit of a chat about at the start of the evening, Dino, right? Because Chalet is a map that Swansea have kind of avoided this split, but historically, big fans of. So how does that work when you have a core that's been together, that played together last year with those 2 new members? I'm sure they'll be adapted and ready for Chalet, especially because it's quite a popular map in the community now.
It's a popular map, like you say. It's been around for a little while now, so it's, been seen in competitive quite a lot. There's many different ways that you can attack it. It's still considered to be attacker favored. But whether that's because Swansea are trying to hide it for a moment like this, or whether that's because Swansea actually haven't invested that much time into it and they've got their select set of maps, it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, we always say that maps like Oregon and Clubhouse, they're the great equalizer. They're the ones which every team should be able to go to, should be able to play well, and we should get a fun game coming out of it. We've seen a very good example of what happens when you go to a map that the other team isn't prepared for, i.e. 8 rounds of Skyscraper going the way of Swansea. So maybe we'll have a similar sort of situation here. Maybe this will be another Oregon-esque situation, and we'll have both of these teams really going at it, and we'll have quite a fun game on our hands.
It will be interesting. I think this is the one that I'm really excited for now. I think coming in, Skyscraper was that map where I was like, I think this could make or break things, right? If Exeter have a strong showing, they win their map pick. No, they didn't. Swansea did. Swansea had the good showing. Swansea now get to move into Chalet. And we see what they've brought, right? There's the classic joke in the Siege community about saving strats, right? You save strats for SI, you save strats for all the big events. Are Swansea following in that story tradition? Are they following in the footsteps of some of the great dynasties of old? Some would say they're a dynasty themselves. They've been around at the top of the Siege uni scene for quite a long time, to your absolute delight, Dino. And well, maybe they get their back-to-back Null title, right? They won the summer split. They're coming into this playoffs as the favorite, as the undefeated first seed of Swiss. Exeter took them down a peg. They look like they're here for revenge. But it's all on Exeter. Can this map pick push us to their decider? Can Exeter just hold on?
I mean, we all know that real teams save their real strats for the summer split. So the strats that they've been saving for the winter split aren't going to be as good. Like, it's not the highest level. There's like, you save strats for the majors, but then you save better strats for SI, but then you save better strats for SI the year later.
But you save the biggest strats for the Null finals. And you know
exactly.
what? Because it's harder to qualify for, right? You don't see any of the big orgs here. It's Swansea Storm, it's X-Terrific, the 2 best teams in all of Siege. And now, you're looking at the way that the bands have shaped up here on Chalet. A couple interesting ones, right? Exeter taking out that Osa first, finishing up their bans with taking out the Mute. So 2 bans that we've seen both teams kind of playing these operators, right? We've seen a lot of James and Deathly both playing this Osa. No longer going to be available. They played on Oregon to good effect. Mute. Vabs was pretty strong on that Mute. We've seen Spac pick up the Mute. We've seen Matthew pick up the Mute, right? Filling this void and the utility it brings at just shoring up some of these sites. Don't want it on the table. It leaves Caden, and that's what Deathly is immediately going to be picking up. The Thatcher not quite in the lineup for Swansea. They've got the Impact EMPs on Marv though, and Marv has been a big fan of his line.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we've seen, you know, we didn't see it on Oregon, because we did see Thatcher Kaid bans come through there, but, you know, on Skyscraper, and I think this is potentially how we're going to see things moving forward in the bigger picture of things, is because Thatcher is now less enjoyable to play. He's slower. He can't go around and, you know, get everything all at once. He has to
10 seconds left.
be more conservative and more restricted in planning his movement where he goes. You're going to see teams not ban out the Thatcher, which means that you're going to see teams bring that Kaid more to the table, that Bandit more to the table, and then with these secondary impacts, it still provides that nice kind of level. And I think that interplay between those operators, when previously they've just been permabanned, is going to come out a lot more. And I'm quite excited to see how the teams are going to deal with that as part of their strategy. Because now it's not just you have to clear out all of the other utility, you also then now have to go back to the old classic of how do we just get this wall open?
Well,
as Babs gets the round open.
Yep. I know, just not expecting him to be downstairs. This push from Swansea focusing on games, clearing out that first Roma, looking for the presence up on Mezzanine as well as Matthew able to win out the gunfight against Ben. You take down the Wamai. Those magnets no longer going to be charging up around site. You don't have the Jaeger to put the ADSs down. Any of this utility around site, the deployable shield on Piano will be able to just get cleared out a little bit quicker, especially when you've got something like the Ash in Jaff's pocket. You can use those breaching rounds, get this opened up very quickly. Now it's about making sure they minimize any picks coming back. And as I say that, James on the window, Matthew not paying attention to it, didn't expect the peek from the doorway, loses his life as well. Sum's able to fall back to sight. James just continuing to be this monstrous presence close inside of sight, gets the pick onto Jaff as well. Now falling back to hold a slightly longer angle, a little bit more passive angle. But Swansea, they're back down to that 3 versus 3.
3 versus 3, minute 20 to go. We've still got the electric claws to deal with. That's going to slow them down from being able to open up this main balcony breach. And Vabs doesn't have any frag nades to be able to go below and try and explode it off the wall. But the secondary EMPs from Marv are going to attempt to come through, but doesn't get the electric claw. They need to find out where it is and go for the positioning up high. They're going to be able to get it deployed, but will it go off successfully? Yes, it will. So they have been able to open up a breach that will give them at least some access to the objective itself, avoiding Piano. But they're still going to have to find a way to deal with these players, especially James all the way at the back. Only a 1x optic for that MP5 is an absolute laser beam. It's going to slow them down and potentially rack up the kills if they push through without properly finding a way around him.
I believe Marv has also used his gun 6, so no real way of dealing with this Piano shield anymore. The frag grenades already used up by the Yana. Now 26 seconds to push on in. Sum's able to get the frag onto Vabs. Just again, these long angles being played by the fence. He's peeking down. Marv grabs one back on the Deathly. That's the Piano presence. No longer going to be a threat for them. This gives Spac the opportunity to walk in and try and get the plant down, but the cover is going to have to be superb from the Lion. The flashbangs coming through just to create a little bit of space. He's hugging that wall, but the swing coming in from the breach on the side isn't covered in time. Sums gets Spac. Now Marv forced to try and find both of these picks. The defense are spread. The defense are hiding. They're not going to give themselves up, and they win the first round.
Yeah, at that point, when you've only got one player able to provide the cover, it's too many angles that you can be pushed on from. They can either go from inside the site or they can go from outside. And as the defender, or as the guy defending the guy going for the plant, there's not really a whole host that you can do to deny that. You're eventually going to get caught out, as we see there. But from Exeter, that was a very solid defense. I think a big point in that round was the cheeky kill from James on the balcony, getting rid of Matthew the second that he opens up that window, because that was 2 pairs of nades gone. That's that sledge gone. That's Matthew who's been having an exceptional split, really. You know, off the board, unable to impact the rest of the round.
And I think James getting those 2 picks was that connection, right? Because they kind of struggled for time after that. They didn't have that next step in, and without the utility to clear out the Gano shield, you saw what Deathly was kind of able to do to play for that time. Yes, he was the first to fall from the defense, but it took them so much time that his teammates were left to pick up the pieces and able to win out the round, and now they're going below. It's interesting that they started on Master, right? Because it's one of these sites that a lot of teams would say is the weakest on the map. So getting that pick up first early on enables these 2 middle floor sites where you'd often see teams lean into. Now get to play that kitchen and dining. The spread you still hold very much upstairs, right? Because you want to have this presence to play the verticality or to force the attack to waste time clearing you out from above. They've also brought the Thunderbird, which is someone who, around her introduction, we saw a lot of. But now teams not favoring that healing meta quite so much. Finka no longer the predominant force that she was in the meta.
Yeah, going more for trying to slow the attackers down as much as possible. Lots of Malusis coming through, as well as Umais, and an operator who normally gets a decent amount of play on Chalet, but we're yet to see so far. Yes, it is only round number 2, but I'm still going to call it out. Azami. We normally see a lot of Azami playing around this top floor, because you can just, particularly when defending upstairs, just turn library into your own little den of courier daggers and stop anyone from being able to push you, as Vabs once again gets the opening kill in the round, this time taking down James. That's that Thunderbird you were just on about, as Ben gets into an engagement with Marv and comes out slightly worse for wear, but is still staying aggressive, goes for the jump on out and gets rewarded for it. Not expecting the aggression. Marv is gonna have to sit this round out.
Yeah, now looking to get this breach into office opened on up. No case floor to shut down the breach now, so able to get that first step forwards. Now looking to get the second breach in dining opened as well. Ben looking to get aggressive onto this mezzanine player. Matthew has to be a little bit careful as he's wrapping around him to the door behind. Vabs is watching the back though. He has his teammate covered. They're able to get the Legion off the table. And now you should have 2 players upstairs, 1 down below inside of sight. 3 remaining extra defenders, a little bit split. And if Swansea can just continue to play somewhat patiently on this top floor, deny any of these vertical angles to Sums or Ainoob, then they could try to make their way in for a plant. But Matthew in the forward position, waiting patiently on the angle, is collected with Sums, looking for the second, is able to land the headshot onto Ainoob as well. Tremendous effort from the Sledge to clear out this top floor, and now it's all down to Deathly, who's able to get Jaff. The Thatcher goes down. That breach will stay sealed for now as the electro floor prevents back from getting it opened on up. Has to be aware of the hatch above. Sledge opening up the floor as well. Just waiting patiently. Babs rotating downstairs though, looking for this second angle, looking for another opportunity to try and catch Deathly off. The window being punched would be a signal to start spraying on in, but this gives away his position. Babs on the window just wins out the gunfight instead though, Dino. Swansea, they bounce back from that first round where they faltered out, this time making no such mistake.
And again, the difference maker was Matthew, in my mind. Obviously, Vabs is doing his job exceptionally well. That's another player I want to highlight from the side of Swansea. Last round, he was able to get the opening pick. This round, again, able to get the opening pick. Nice and early on. An operator with a lot of utility. He's there, and he's able to challenge onto it and be successful. The other side, Matthew, we saw in that round just there, everything kind of slows down a bit on the top floor. They've opened up what they want. They kind of getting control, kind of getting set up, and then Matthew goes, right, there's still players up here. Bang, bang. We've got top floor. We've got full control. And he...
Sorry, please.
I was going to say, that's the kind of difference maker that he provides, and that ability to just go off and do it himself is something that Swansea really lean into.
I just want to quickly give a little bit of praise to Exeter, specifically to James and Deathly, because they were reinforcing the dining wall and had it perfectly in sync, and it's just really nice to see. But on a more actual relevance to the game note, They are also changing up their operators. James rocking that Kaid instead of Deathly, which gives him the opportunity to grab the smoke. And I think this is an adaptation to the fact that this aggressive play, trying to catch Swansea off early on upstairs, didn't quite work out for them. So instead, what they want to do is just have a couple more tools to help slow things down inside of the site. Deathly was that lone man downstairs before. If he is in that position again, having those toxic babes will allow him to choke up some of these positions where Swansea are trying to push from. Again, it will be about being careful because the first pick went to Vabs, who was prone in this exact position he finds himself in again, just able to get it through the footholes into sight. The drone going in with the shot by Ainub, which again adds this layer of uncertainty to the push coming in from Swansea, where they're now afraid of Mezzanine, of Library. Ainub's back all the way inside of Office, right? He shoots the drone, falls all the way back, and now Swansea still have to invest that time in making sure this space is clear. Vabs has used both of his nades, trying to guess, trying to estimate where these players are on Mezzanine. There's nowhere nearby.
But he is still in control downstairs. Matthew, ever cautious of that door after getting caught out by it exactly once, is taking his time pushing on up. There are still two players from the side of Exeter hanging about upstairs. We're going to have Sums playing all the way in deep, and the Jaeger of Ainub inside of Office. As the wall is going to get opened on up. This is going to force these players to push back just a little bit for now. Aside from Ainub apparently doesn't give a hoot. He's just going to sit precisely there and wait for the aggression to come on through. But oh, this is so dangerous. I don't like this, but it works out for him. He's able to secure the kill onto Matthew, giving the advantage to Exeter as Vabs all the way in the basement, playing a sort of Lone Ranger kind of game, seeing what he can get done.
Yeah, Marv inside a bathroom, though, could be able to pinch off Ainub, who's playing very tight on this Office breach, but I think they think the space is clear. He has absolutely no clue he's in there. He's going to be looking the wrong way. Enable Noob to pick up the second kill. Vads finally able to trade him out, get that kill on the board, but they're in the 3 versus 4 situation. They're in that man count disadvantage. Got to be careful of the player playing tight by the breach. I think he is at the shoulder, you can see, peeping up through the table. Well, not quite able to land the shots just yet, but that's definitely playing very close with the toxic babes available. 15 seconds, Dino. Swansea are going to have to make a move in. Spag taking damage from these longer angles as he's trying to push on in. The West Main lobby able to catch him out, and now Vabs on the hatch above is able to grab James, drop the hatch behind, try and shoot Deathly in the back, but he's ready, waiting with the shotgun, able to trade it out. Jaff gets one, but there's still 2 more to find, lurking way back in the distance. Just never going to be able to find those 2. Exeter, they get another defensive win on the board, Dino, and now they can start to push their aggression forward. They can start to keep this momentum going.
Yeah, and another win on the board. The defenses are starting to... The defenses here definitely look a lot better than they did on Skyscraper. I'll leave it like that. But you would hope that for a map that Exeter have chosen to be on. I think the more interesting part of this game so far has been how Swansea are choosing to go for these attacks. And it's very... very individualistic in places. I'm sort of reminded of old Team Empire, where you would just have Joystick go off and do his thing, and the rest of the team would be trying to, you know, go through their checklist, and if they went, right, okay, we need to deal with this guy, Joystick, come over here, go kill. That's kind of how it feels Swansea is attempting to play this, where you've got Vabs on the Iana, go wherever you want to, try and get that opening, go kill, as the rest of the team is all set up trying to go for the actual set take.
It's with a Vabs go kill motive, would you say?
Potentially. It's looking like it for sure.
It'd be... But you have strong individual players. It makes sense to enable them at times, right? And I think you see this on like G2 in the modern day with Citizen, who often has very strong stats despite the team sometimes faltering. And I think that could be a problem for Swansea here. If they rely too much on these picks coming in from Vabs, without the rest of the team really being able to get on the board or keep that up if they lose him. Already in that engagement, watching towards Bar, Matthew trying to lock down this doorway, but still an opening for Ainub to able to escape back. They do drone out Mud, though. Sums, he takes that as a challenge, you know. He's just looking for more bloods.
Vabs didn't take opportunity of the small gap that opened up as Sums tried to run away, but it's going to mean that there's a lot of attention still around this game. And this has gone from being a very advantageous position for Swansea, where they were holding down 2 players of Exeter almost at no risk to themselves. Now a very advantageous situation for Swansea, where for Exeter, where they're just able to burn a lot of time. The position's been held. Sums hasn't lost any health, and it was still being a threat. Marv, though, is going to get the opening kill of the round as Deathly exposes himself, and Swansea once again regaining the advantage, but not for long, as Ainoob has become such a threat on these roams, but Vabs is there to get the trade straight afterwards.
Prisoner preventing Marv from pushing into the window into bathroom. Ben also there to receive him should he try anything. The nade from below could be very well placed. Instead, it bounces a little bit too deep in. Matthew has been very spot on. He did clearly have that understanding of James lurking around. A bit of damage dealt from Lucy, but not quite enough. He's able to get 1 kill back from it onto Matthew himself. Marv grabs Sums and keeps things even as James grabs a second in the round. He's on very little HP, but still doing an excellent job of preventing this push from Swansea coming through. Now Jaff on the back staircase has a little bit of contention. As James is going to walk back, it's going to actually reinforce the middle panel of that wall as well, giving himself a little bit more space to play with, a couple more options. Ben finally able to win that exchange with Marv on the window. They've been going back and forth in that position for oh so long. A wonderful shot from Jaff to take James off the board, and now it's the 1 versus 1. Ben slightly more HP, no utility left for Jaff. As long as he's got 2 EMPs, he could throw out to give himself some help. I take it back, and that's what he's going to do. Is he starts to walk in through the main doorway, using the sound to cover his approach just a little bit, gets himself onto that bomb chassis behind the bed, and can start to plant this diffuser. Ben giving him the time to complete it, and it's going to be finished up. Looking to go in through the doorway. You've got to be careful of the rotate that's available as well. That's what he's going to go for. Jaff, you've got to turn to the right. Is he going to know? He doesn't expect it coming. The tracers fly past Ben's head. Jaff wins out the gunfight. Exeter have another round win, Dino.
Marv, what are you doing?
Bomb defused by defenders. Bomb defusing attempt failed.
I mean, great clutch coming through there. Great attempt by both the players. Jaff almost able to secure it, and then just, not able to put the bow on it right at the end there due to a great play in response coming through. But Marv jumped into the bathroom when someone was holding like a direct 90-degree angle on him. When his teammate had full control of Solar,
Defenders
and
protect your bombs
like,
from being defused by
there was 45 seconds left. Just jump down, go around, rappel into Solar, help your teammate out, or jump down, jump in through the window, go up the stairs, help your teammate out. Then it's a 2v2 instead of 2 sets of potential 2 1v1s. But that round looked so good for a lot of that for Swansea, and just
That has been the case a little bit though, right here on Chalet. We've seen a couple rounds, and it was the case in Oregon as well, where Swansea would have these good attacking starts, but not quite be able to convert on them in a successful and comfortable manner, which would leave these openings for Exeter to jump back in with strong plays. And now, a defense of Bar Gaming coming out. You're looking at how does Swansea attack into this? Going for that Solarium pressure first. This is very old Swansea. You still got the player on the top by the bathroom doorway. It's Ainoob. He's always the player that's causing problems. The frag grenade being prepped, he's run away. He's still going to throw it out just to try and catch him off. But he's falling way back to mezzanine, right? I'm liking the way that Exeter are committing to these drones. It's not over-investing. They catch little drones, they waste a little bit of utility, then they fall back to where their positions are set up, where they have this sort of reinforcements deployed. Sums, this is a cheeky spot if he can pull it off.
Well, if anyone can, it would be him. He's been having a great day on the roam as the alibi, and punch holes all set up. This one specific angle, and there we are. Sums able to secure the kill onto Vabs. He's going to go for a little bit of a relocation, not going to hang around and get caught on out, as finally someone gets the opening kill that isn't Vabs.
Attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Well, it does alleviate that pressure from Exeter, right? Vance, the top fragger, got nearly as many frags as the rest of his team combined so far, with Smack still to get on the board. But now you're waiting to see what the Swansea response to this is. They're getting a bit of that breach opened on up, which gives them the long line of sight to start throwing out these stun grenades, throw out these frag grenades to clear out the position on the top of Ivy. Try and get rid of the shield, maybe get rid of a player if you can as well. Frag grenade definitely a little bit too early though. I like this angle and the setup from Exeter here with lots of opportunities to peek on out. But it's Matthew to get the first pick. Marv grabs a second for himself as well as Ainoob falls too. It's starting to look a little bit more precarious now as Deathly still available in library considering whether he drops down. A minute left on the round. Swansea now finding themselves in this advantageous position. 4 members alive compared to Exeter's 3. But they still have to push into library. Oh.
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 Oh, I know you're Sledge, but shoot the window open. Come on.
Yeah, why don't you have walls? Come on. Just wall hack it and see that he's on the other side.
Exactly.
But no. The Frost able to escape back to sight, a Nitro Cell going off, not quite landing on his target, mistaking the sound of Marv walking around, but James does get the pick onto Matthew. That takes down the Sledge who was upstairs, able to slow things down a touch, and now this approach from Swansea kind of running dry. 10 seconds for them to get on into sight. No real clear way in. They're just going to jump through the breach, try and win the gunfights. Jaff gets the first, looking for the player inside of stock, but it's coming in from the backside. Sums gets 1, gets 2, looking for the third on the diffuser as well. Sums walking in from mud, in behind the Swansea players who dropped and were committing to finding Deathly inside of stock. Just cut away.
Yeah, the cover just from Swansea, it wasn't there. I mean, the first round from Swansea looked really good until it didn't, and the second round from Swansea looked really good and they won. And since then, we've had good rounds, and then they've just not been able to hold on to it. We saw even back on Oregon rounds where Swansea were going for the plant, but then the post-plant cover or the plant cover wasn't there. It wasn't. It's been a weak spot all day long for Swansea. They obviously have this plan in the round to go for the plant. You know, you can see in teams that some of them are like, right, we're just going to go shoot everyone, and some of them are like, right, we need to actually work this through, get to the plant, yada yada. Right. Swansea actually go for the plant, but they don't seem to go that next step further a lot of the time and have that post plant properly set up.
Yeah, it is all about just the cleanliness with these executes from Swansea, where they get the position, right? They cleared out Ivy, you got rid of the shield, you get the pick, Matthew finds the frag, and then what happens? They falter out, they slow down, they don't quite know what that next step is, and that's been a recurring problem for them. You need to find a way to turn these advantages into round wins. You need to make these rotations a little bit sooner. Have Matthew putting that pressure on Library. Have them drop down into Fireplace and start just getting these corridors locked down a little bit sooner. Rather than having both players drop the hatch, have one watch the long corridor. Have one watch that blue corridor. You don't have time to drone players out, which leads to situations like this, where Sums hides in mud, comes in behind you, grabs all the kills. Now, attacking onto Dining. They are trying to clear out this roam once again, focusing around Library, because you want to get this top floor opened up. We talked about this, right? You want to deny the vertical angle to your opponent. Matthew jumping in, looking down for a Frostmat, able to get onto Ainoob in time. You could say it was a little bit of an unfortunate error from the Jaeger, not able to collect that kill, but either way, Swansea have the opener that they needed.
Yeah, potentially a little bit of a timing thing going on there, as Fabs is going to be cooking this nade to detonate, potentially to try and get a kill through the floor, but the bonus side effect is that it also gets rid of one of the electric floors, so that is going to be that top floor wall getting open on up. Now, this is going to give Swansea a nice long line of sight through the top floor that is going to work both ways. And Sums, we've already seen him get a couple nice kills here on Chalet using long angles, and that MX4 Storm to great effect as now the sight wall itself is able to get opened on up. The rounds before where we've seen Swansea do well, they've been able to clear out that top floor before they go for this execute. It looks like they might just have to try and push directly on down below, as they've not been able to clear anyone out of that top floor position.
Toxic Babes are going to start to fly through now, just to prevent this walk-in from the breach. Ben playing around this half wall, able to get the kill onto Vabs. You see James with that pistol in hand as well, looking for this long angle into lobby. Swansea, without the same sort of pressure above, they haven't fully cleared it out. They're very happy to sit with the long angles being watched, but now they pay for it. Sums able to run through, get one. Spack shuts him down, but still looking down that three-man defense, all of them in sight. Jaff on very little HP, has to be very cautious of the Toxic Babes. The drone from Spack will ping out that Deathly is playing on this table. He tries to cross over, gets the first pick needed. It is going to get hit by the Prisma. The pings will come through on him for a short period of time, though, Dino, which means he has to back up and wait for a little bit longer. Able to move in to the breach, though. Ben now has to take an aggressive stance to try and catch him out. Will get injured out, which just leaves the Cade. The Cade's above. The Nitro Cell being deployed to try and give him the vertical angle. He's going to drop behind. He's going to get one, but Spack able to prevent the round from slipping once again, catches the Cade behind.
That would have been an absolute nightmare round for Swansea. They would have been seeing that in like their nightmares. They would have been going to group therapy to try and deal with that if like Kaid had gotten both of those kills. But, you know, was able to come around and secure that. 2-4. Not entirely terrible with it being Chalet. However, the issue is that Chalet is still kind of attacker-sided. So it's it is a bit rocky when that was Swansea's attacking half and they were the one to only get the 2 rounds as opposed to the 4.
It does hurt a little bit, and I think this is where we'll really get to see, is this going to be a defender-sided Chalet? Because that wouldn't be unheard of in the null scope, right? We've certainly seen it before. The question is, the operator lineup coming out from Exeter, the big one that I'd love to see is Sums on that Flores. It's a tool that wasn't banned away. The mute has been taken off the board by Exeter, the main counter to this Flores. So for Swansea to neglect it all of their half, their opponents now get to bring it out, now get to experiment with it a little bit. These positions that you're trying to hold down, they only have the one deployable shield brought by the smoke. They can be cleared out a lot faster. Vabs on this roam, trying to be a little bit cautious, but obviously a little bit harder to make this Lucy work now that she's one of the 1-speed 3-armor operators. A little bit harder to escape.
Can't be quite the speedy boy that you once were, and I mean, I think that's kind of fitting, given that her gadget slows people down, so maybe she should get slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, I think like it makes sense to have an operator whose gadget gives you sound cues. If they're a bit slower, but a bit tankier, but then it now reinforces that idea that it's the Melusi who plays around the sound cues, right? Rather than setting them down for your teammates to benefit from while you run around the map and have a party. The air jab is put in a position that Vab just wasn't expecting. He's somehow been able to get away with it, though.
Yeah, no one goes for the direct punishment, but it is going to force Vabs away from that staircase, so they might just be watching his other rotations. We did see iNoob watching over towards the library stairs, but Vabs has gone all the way over towards West Main and then come up that way. The attack from Exeter is, at the moment, focused around lobby. They've not really invested as much, or at least the same amount that we've seen before, into taking control of this top floor. Sums has been able to work his way on into office and is playing around this little half wall, but Jaff is still upstairs and able to make a nuisance of himself.
Onto the breach. Yeah, like you mentioned, they're not pushing too far in, but Exeter are going to take a more aggressive measure at trying to remove this top floor roam. Definitely gets the pick onto Babs, but trades it out, so it's still a problem for them. Sums, who tried to clear out the space above, punished by Marv, which opens up that hole for them again. They're going to have Ben on the Yana on the back stairs, try to take a little peek in, just to watch these long angles to prevent the vertical plays coming through from their opponents. James and iNoob looking to try and push in onto site. Oh, what a shot from Matthew. He's expecting Noob in that corridor. And now the Toxic Babes, with 30 seconds left, are going to ring out on this breach, making it very difficult for James to walk on in. But Ben Gets the pick onto Jaff. This could be the opening they're looking for now. No longer that threat above. He's looking... He's tempted to, but Marv coming back downstairs to reinforce the site, to look on the longer angles. James on the table, ready to put that diffuser down. He's going to try and commit to it. No Toxic Babe coming out. Oh, it lands right on top of him. Never mind, but they're able to get the kill on Spack. Matthew edge straight back onto Ben, looking for the lunge, looking to walk further and further in, but Matthew gets himself a triple kill in the round, just playing around this hole all round long. Challenges everyone that walks his way.
Yeah, maybe Chalet has gone over to the defender side, or at least just for this game, because that it definitely felt like Exeter had a bit of a handle on it, but it was never fully in their control. Definitely being unable to have that complete presence upstairs and being able to utilize the hatch inside of the master bedroom. It made that take ultimately more difficult for Exeter. So potentially we'll see Swansea be able to pick up a couple more rounds here on their defense, and we might even get to see another overtime, as these two teams are looking much more evenly matched here than they did over on Skyscraper.
More reminiscent of our opening map, Oregon. But you know what, it's always good to see. You want to see these teams have that back and forth, both getting the opportunities to take rounds, and then that just means at the end of the day, it comes down to whoever's more clinical. So far, that has been Exeter. But now that they're on the attack, how does that change? Are Swansea able to find a new form? Well, the first round suggests they might be able to do so. Some still rocking this Flores, though. So, still able to work away at a lot of the utility that will be set up by Swansea as they try to hold the top floor of Master and Office. Well, starting on Library. The clear, still the Azami not quite coming out. Neither of these teams want to bring it, despite, you mentioned, very helpful at locking down Library, just making some of these positions very difficult to push out. Vab's able to shoot a couple of drones and fall back. No one on that double window just yet, giving him that opportunity to slip by.
Not being able to get a handle on Vabs has been sort of the storyline for Exeter here on Chalet. He's been such a threat, particularly in the opening stages of the rounds. I'd love to see a statistic on how many first bloods he's been able to get, as he's just able to work his way into these small spots and get those kills. He really does seem very fluid on this map, and it's obviously a challenge for Exeter to deal with. He's going to run on out, times that perfectly, gets the kill onto Ainu, but entirely aware of where the next angle is, and that's definitely going down as well. As soon as I talk about him getting the opening kills, he comes through and delivers, and is continuing to remain at least somewhat aggressive as the Flores runs come on through, get rid of some of that utility, but another electrical is going to go on out to deny that breach from getting opened up.
And they're not quite aware what this attacking lineup is coming out, as Jaff, standing on top of the piano, standing above the shield, is able to grab the pick. I don't think they realize yet that there's no more hard breach available for Exeter. 2v5 situation now. James and Sums have to pull off, well, some special plays if they want to win this round. It's looking like Swansea should be able to take it, not shooting out the camera just yet. They want to see there's no one from Swansea on it, so why take it out? Why give them that information when you shoot, right? Why make that noise? Now looking, no one's downstairs, James. Everyone's above. Well, yep, everyone's above. Thanks for doing a little spin, just so we could see the silhouettes. But how do you make it up the staircase? Because, well, Solarium, they're going to be watching it. Marv watching the back. As soon as he sees it, he pulls out his camera at the perfect time for that. But no, he has a clue. He has an inkling that camera being shot out will give them the complete indication that they need, and now fully focused on this spot. A wonderful shot to take off the head of the Thatcher. Sums. All by himself, Dino, trying to walk up the same staircase. Nitro cells, Toxic Babes, Vabs lurking below to grab the final kill. Swansea Storm a flawless round.
Yeah. And a very strong flawless round as well, if there's any kind of weak flawless round. I guess that doesn't exactly make sense. But, yeah, just an exceptional showing there from Swansea as Vabs getting those two opening picks. He was actually able to get the kill onto the ace, that being the second kill that he got, which then meant opening up those walls and being able to gain access to the site effectively went out the window right there and then for the side of Exeter.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Next site on the list, gonna be bar and gaming. And you know what? This is a site that I thought we'd see both of these teams gravitate towards earlier. Both of them bringing it out as their third option site, which is interesting to me, given the site's history as being very popular, kind of since the map's launch, being one of the first ones you'd go to. But that's how it works out sometimes, right? Teams develop new ideas and new strategies and favor trying new things sometimes over the old. And the setup, once again, still no frostbite, which I think we're both surprised by, right? I think this map is heavily sort of, I was about to say criticized. Criticized isn't the right thing. Commended with bringing Frost back into players' minds, because of how many important windows there are to get access to on Chalet and how many important vault spots there are. These Frost mats really cause you problems as an attacking lineup. So people started bringing it on Chalet, people saw its potential, how powerful it could be, and then started adapting that to other maps, employing the same sort of principles. Both of these teams doing other operators are going to give them that extra value, and I think part of that is just due to Alibi's newfound strength.
I don't think it's newfound strength. I think Alibi's been...
Alibi's always been good, but like, we've seen more and more Alibi plays, right? Is what I mean to say, right? Because you've got the shotgun in the bailiff, you've got the deployable shield, you then just get to unleash a fragger in that role instead of having the frost.
Yeah, and well, Vabs is going to go on through and get the kill onto Deathly. That's going to be the sledge going down this time instead of the ace, but Vabs is going to get traded out straight away as Marv is there for a kill of his own, not letting Vabs have all of the fun, as that's going to be James getting eliminated. So both the SAS operators for Exeter are already off the board, as this is 4 versus 3 with 1:40 left to go. iNoob, Sums, and Ben left to try and figure this puzzle out, as Swansea have managed to tie up this map. And we have to remember that if Swansea win this map, they win the series. They win the Winter Newell split in its entirety. There's a big turning point here if Swansea are able to get the advantage and gain some momentum.
Also cuts back on the opportunity for an extra upset on Clubhouse. So if they can swing that momentum, shut things out before that footing is found, well, they'll end an effective 3-0, right? The first map, the only map win X to have, is that weighted for them being from the upper bracket, for them knocking Swansea down earlier on in the playoffs run. But now, things starting to slow down a little bit for Exeter, right? They have the positioning, they have Ben on the back staircase, they have iNoob watching over main lobby. They just need to try and find the next pick. Is there anyone in mud? Well, they're not going to actually get to know. Jaff taking up this position on the bottom of the staircase, though, could be big for them as iNoob walking down. Ben also walking down, but it's Sums to grab the kill from above. Ben shot in the back by Jaff, who's able to fall back away. Matthew not on site either, though. He's also playing around the basement. He's playing in jungle now. So he's moving everywhere. He has the perfect view onto iNoob, who just walks through. The flanking Cade is not something I expected to see, but 15 seconds. Sums inside of sight, aware of Jaff's potential location on the bottom of the staircase. He's not even there yet, but he will be there soon, walking in to try and deal with this Flores threat. The diffuser dropped upstairs. He has to run and grab it. There's no time left. He's playing for kills. He gets one, but Matthew from lobby trades it out for the second.
They just won't let the round end on time. They have to end it on kills. That's what I'm deciding here. But that does mean that Swansea has got the advantage. They were down, was it 4-1 in their during their opening half of this map, and they've been able to bring that back to a 5-4 split. Round number 10 about to get underway. Is getting very close to watching Swansea walk away with this one, and I just want to sort of examine the mindset potentially of Exeter for a second, because you have to think they're coming into this. They had a very strong performance last week. Swansea seemed erratic and all over the place, and they're going to come in with a lot of confidence. They're going to be going to a map that, you know, is very well known, is a map that they beat them on last week in Oregon, and it goes all the way to an 8-7 and you lose out at the death of it, that's going to really affect your mental, especially when you know that the next map that you're going into is a map that I'm going to presume they aren't as confident on.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
And it all just goes so horribly wrong. There's a point with players where it just builds and builds and builds, and I wonder if Exeter is starting to hit that point now that they've seen this lead and this promising start to this map fall apart in front of them.
Well, starting to look more and more comfortable for Swansea. The longer this defensive half goes on, and the longer they keep on collecting the rounds. Marv up on the top floor on this roam, rocking the Oryx now just to continue exacerbating these leads. Inoob using the holds that Vamps has made himself to try and catch him off if he looks on this angle. But so far, not biting, not quite giving into it. They are defending the basement for the first time that we've seen it this map. The Tracer's coming up through the floor as Vance passes over. It gives him a clue that they're starting to push from Big Garage. It has to be just a little bit more cautious. The stairs being watched by Deathly, who's been able to work his way onto Boiler now. With this main breach in Garage open on up, looking for the back angle, Vabs gets shut down by Inoob, who's taken over control of Dining. This is the big moment for them now. Still Marv lurking around in the background. You can see the silhouette just waiting patiently, but with Breach being opened up into Wine, Marv grabs the kill behind onto Inoob, causes a little bit of a stir for Exeter. Ben deals them swiftly.
Now that big flank potential has now been lost. The nades are going to go on to get rid of that shield. So that power position at the back of the site has been lost, but as they haven't been able to open up this main Wine wall yet, it does give Jaff still a little bit of breathing room to deal with. It looks like they're going to attempt to get that opened on now as Jaff with the free players trying to go for the ace, accidentally gets the Iana. This is all starting to stabilize. The kills from Swansea going back and forth. It's actually going to be Deathly to get the kill onto Jaff. Matthew immediately with the trade. 55 seconds to go. The first Toxic Babes start to be deployed from SPAC. This diffuser has been dropped inside of Trench. Ben has recovered it and is going to be going for the plant. That side wall is opened up, but it's going to be this main angle being held by James. He's going to decide this round. If the smoke canisters don't do enough, Ben is going to have just a smaller sliver of health as James gets the cover onto the first kill. A shoulder is shown. Ben's position is known. The shotgun is going to come on out, but the angle's being held from behind. James whiffs a lot of shots to begin with, but just hits the one needed to secure that round for Exeter.
Yeah, we won't talk about that too much, but a close attempt here from Swansea, the timeout being called. This is going to give them the opportunity just to figure out how they want to play these potential last two rounds, at the very least the last two rounds before overtime. There's, well, we'll have to see what the impact of Swansea head coach Dye is going to be here. What's he telling them to try and fix up the mistakes there? Running back that basement. I think basement is an interesting one. You know, I don't know about you. I'm not a massive fan of it as a site. And I think we kind of saw from Exeter how you can expose it. And that's kind of my main reason why. They had 3 defensive wins in a row. They could have repeated their cycle, gone back up to master bedroom. They chose not to. Do you think that was a mistake?
I think that that's
It's hard.
Right, I like the idea behind them going down to basement, because then you can beat them. You've beaten them everywhere, and it's a very complete win. You're showing them a different look each time, and I think that if this was pre-attacker repick, that would have been a very, very smart decision to do, because they've already selected their lineup. They're in this mindset that you're going to go back upstairs, and then you throw that curveball at them. Yes, that could have been very good. However, we've got attacker repick, and sort of necessary changes were made. They were able to deal with it, and it's yeah, not ideal, but they are now going back up to master bedroom, so maybe this one will go their way instead.
Trying to chase down the drone with the pest. Marv having a bit of bit of trouble trying to catch that one. Decides to shoot it with the pistol in the end. But already looking around, looking to try and shoot more and more drones. They've lost 2. Been able to kind of get a little bit of information for yourself in the meantime and just stall out. But it will be interesting to see what the approach here from Exeter is. The timeout reshaping Swansea, going back to master bedroom now. I don't know. I wonder what the impact of that timeout will be. As now you're just looking at stalling out a little bit more time. They're no longer quite as invested in this roam on the library side. We'd see Vabs getting quite aggressive on these windows. Still getting aggressive though, just on a different window. Marv was that mezzanine player dealt with by iNoob very swiftly as he tries to fall back, caught out by the mezzanine window. Would have an unfortunate loss to the side of Swansea, but Vabs able to catch the Zofia out as they just weren't expecting the peek from below. Just walked a little bit too carelessly towards the top floor, and now a 4 versus 4 back again. Exeter have this control of mezzanine. They have the tools available to get this breach open on up. You've still got the Ace, you've still got the Thatcher. They can get access to site. Vabs still playing below though. No one really wants to deal with it.
But at some point they are going to have to. A lot of damage going back and forth. Or actually not a lot of damage, just a little bit of chip damage going either way. But with that breach now at least partially open, it is going to give Exeter an avenue on in. They're actually going to use another Salma to improve that access as Ben is there to get the kill onto Spack. As Exeter now all 3 up in the player count. An important turning point here is if Exeter get this round, they just need to win 1 more attack, and that is going to be the series all tied up. But Vabs is in a position to get the kill onto Sums, trying to keep this one under control as Jeff is still playing close, but the plant is starting to go on down. We do have Matthew downstairs. C4 is a potential, but Ben is there to get the kill onto Vabs, and it comes through far too late. In fact, no, Matthew doesn't have a C4 available. He just has to go for this flank. Isn't going through lobby and definitely has an idea. There is a drone calling out this flank. This isn't looking good. It's just going to get caught out deathly there. Secures the kill. It's all left up to Jaff. 1 versus 2. Diffuser down. And both players know where he is. They've got the angles. They've got the positioning. They've got the lines of sight they can just hold on to give themselves match point here on Chalet, and it's going to be deathly to get that kill. And Exeter getting round 11.
Exeter 1 round away from securing map number 3, pushing the series to 2-2, and it would force the decider map of Clubhouse. Swansea's map pick, so they'll have the advantage going into that final game, at least on paper. But you don't quite know. There's still 1 more round for Swansea to try and pull something off. We saw a 4-2 split in favour of the defence in the first half of the game. Exeter already have the 2 rounds that they needed to push themselves to 6. Swansea, can they keep things even on Chalet? I'm not sure. It will be interesting to find out. And obviously with overtime hitting the clocks, it would be Swansea getting choice of maps, the side selection, right? Exeter chose to go on that defensive end first. What has Swansea chosen? I'd imagine it would be that defense, pick it up as well, but it is an attack-dependent map. Maybe you come into this game not knowing, of course, that Exeter are going to have the upper hand on the defense. Maybe you pick attack to go into. But either way, this is the important round for Swansea if they even want to begin to think about their overtime side selection choices. As this attack from Exeter has looked very good in the last 2 rounds. I will give them the credit that I think they deserve, right? Their operating lineups have improved. I like this fact that they're still sticking the Flores. It's been great at removing some of these stronger positions that Swansea are trying to hold. I'm liking the fact that they clearly seem a little bit more synced up between the Thatcher and the Thermite, or whatever hard breach they're bringing in a particular round, than they did on Skyscraper, because that was one thing you highlighted, you know, right? You wanted to see them get a little bit more value out of these picks they were bringing. That's been the case here on Chalet, and they've also just been a little bit stronger frag-wise. They've been able to take the gunfights to Swansea's face.
Yeah, they've definitely been more coordinated and more sort of on top of what's going on around them, and I think that sort of just goes to show how out of their comfort zone they were on Skyscraper. I strongly think that that is a map that they have not played before as a team, at least in an actual comp game. They've probably scrimmed it once or twice, but it's not something that they are familiar with, as we are going to see definitely now open up this breach in towards office as Babs is going to get a double kill. Ben and Ainoob are going to fall. And now he's playing up and aggressive inside of Piano, waiting for the peak to come on through. Does a decent amount of damage onto Deathly, but that 556 is going to be good enough for that kill. Spack is there to trade out sums in response, but it's a 4 versus 2, minute 30 to go. Swansea need this round to get it to overtime if they want to end it here on Chalet. Otherwise, we will be going to Clubhouse.
The big thing for me here, Dino, is that they still haven't opened up this dining breach, and with only 2 members alive, they have to focus on this plant. Matthew lurking by the opened hatch, just standing on a ledge. It's not opened, actually, but still standing in the corner. If they don't check it and they just walk on in to try and get this plant down, he'll be able to cut them away. Jaff now looking to retake some of this space above, expecting them to be focused a little bit more on down below. The drone catches out Matthew on this corner. They should know, but the question is, with all these long angles being set up, the top of that 2x scope just hiding the fact that there's the peak from a long range, and Marv gets 1. Marv is good for 2. And Swansea have pushed us to overtime, Dino. Our second overtime situation. Both times on Exeter's home map.
Yeah, I think, well, okay. If we get to Clubhouse, is Clubhouse, I'm trying to think. Swansea have picked a map that, the pick of Skyscraper, I think, was so left field that it's not a fair comparison. And then Clubhouse is too universal for it to really be called Swansea's pick.
Attackers
So,
need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
maybe.
Swansea, though, are on that attacking side, Dino. So I have a feeling this is a case, right? You're coming into a Chalet game, and in your head you're thinking, all right, it's Chalet, not Skyscraper, sorry. It's attacker sided. When we get the choice, we choose the attack. The game hasn't played out this way. Not only is the game not played out this way, we've hit overtime, and Exeter have gone, all right, it's time to change this up a little bit. Swansea might have gotten an idea of what we were doing on our defenses. Let's add this mirror into the mix-up. Now, by playing this mirror on the library site, you get more control over certain positions. They're reinforcing up this cubby. They've still got the holes available to shoot out of it from, but now adding that mirror window in there as well, just to get a bit more control over mezzanine, make it a little bit harder for Swansea to push in. If they don't have any presence over by library, then they will be punished for it in the space this cubby player is going to be given to play around the information they have. Then you've also got the one in stock, because a couple times we've seen it one player from Exeter locked inside of stock with very little options to fight back. That mirror window gives them that extra bit of information to play with to try and deal the damage back to Swansea. But Matthew gets the opening pick here. He takes down Ainoob, already inside of office, pushing forwards. Jaff bringing this Flores out. They spent 6 rounds without it, recognized the strength it brought with that ban of the mute, but the first one has been shot out of bed.
Typically, we've been seeing Vabs getting those opening picks, but Matthew wanting to chime on in as well. And this has been a really effective clear coming through from Swansea. And that is so unfortunate. But then you don't need to challenge that. You've got the mirror window. They're not going to be opening up that wall on you directly. Seems like it was a bit of unnecessary risk, as was that rotating away from the safe corner. Vabs just rappelling upside down, able to benefit off of that and get the kill. And now it's a 5 versus 2. Swansea, minute and a half to go. Complete uncontested top 4 control. The most they could possibly worry about up here would be a bold C4 coming through from Deathly, but chances are he's going to be trying to hold onto that to deny the plant should it start to come on through. But Swansea are going to be using this time to get themselves fully set up, isolate these last 2 players, and attempt to secure these kills. Sums is trying to play a little bit off the beaten path, all the way back in a little bit of an off angle inside of bar to potentially catch people when they go for a drop, or to go for a little bit of a flank through the hallway should that take place. 50 seconds to go. Swansea starting to get themselves in position. That mirror window has been opened up, and these players are being spotted out one by one.
Well, sprays coming in from Deathly, trying to catch them out in the doorways, they're pushing in, but the flashbang is going to completely obscure his vision as this control inside of sight has been taken. Sums behind, able to get Matthew, but Jaff quickly finishes off that sight control. So much work to do. We'll need an ace to bring back this round in the post plant as well. Vab's brought to 1 HP, but ultimately still alive, still tucking in tight behind the sofas. The long angle, he's trying to peek, he's trying to catch off the long angle, but such a tight shot between 2-3 door frames being watched. Jaff still in this above position as well, but even if he tried to rotate up, he's going to be met by a member of Swansea Storm. This first overtime round looking to go in their favor, looking for the rotation towards blue, but again, they should be aware of this. They should have long angles available to cover. 12 seconds, 7 need to be on the diffuser. As soon as it hits down, there is no time for him to win out this round. Swansea will safe in the knowledge that they are on match point, series point for the first time.
It's a big moment. This is the first time of this best of 5 where we've gotten to a team being this close to winning the whole thing, as Swansea just need to hold out for this final defense. And where are they going to go? Back to kitchen and dining. We've seen them be incredibly successful here before. Exeter losing a lot of their players to the roam when attempting to clear out that top floor and being put into unwinnable situations into the final minute. Is that going to be a repeat, or are we going to have this mystical power where as soon as we hit overtime, all of the logic of the previous 12 rounds goes out the window and everything goes the opposite way, and suddenly we're on an attacker-sided chalet?
We'll have to see, right? Because this last time they played this site, things went pretty comfortably in their favor off a lot of early picks, a lot of early aggression, which kind of left Exeter in a position where they couldn't contend the site. They couldn't play it out. Marv wanted his teammate to move out the way before realizing it's a new season, Dino. There's no longer friendly fire in the prep phase. He can shoot his shotgun all he wants. He's not going to do any damage. The action phase is where that becomes something to be a little bit more cautious of. But Ainu, they're on their last lifeline here, Dino. They need to win this round or the series is over. And we are seeing Ainu bring out the glass. This is going to be a little bit spicy.
Or is it a little bit of desperation?
Are you not a Glaz fan?
I am a Glaz fan. However, I can appreciate when Glaz is competitive, when Glaz is not competitive. And we're also seeing Ainu bring Glaz with the frag nades as opposed to with the smoke. So he is going to get a good tag onto Marv there as he attempts to hold down the rotators. That's going to be most of Marv's health gone off of a single bullet while he was dashing as well. So that was quite an impressive shot from Ainu. But it's not the kill. And it's not going to be a whole lot more, as Deathly is going to be getting that wall opened up now.
Well, now with that presence in towards office, you got to be a little bit more careful on the side of Swansea. You don't want to peek out, you don't want to lose your life. The Glaz going to be a little bit more helpful for pushing into the site, though, and that's why Ainu is keeping himself alive. He doesn't want to overextend his life or die before that gadget being able to see through the smokes is going to be at its most effective use. I like the late EMP throw there by James to make sure that the Cade trick isn't going to come through. He has a little bit of an outline. You can see Matthew holding tight onto that door frame. It's going to be the smoke to pop up though. Spack getting a bit of damage onto Ainu, which will help later on with some of these sprays. He's able to get a kill onto Sums. Definitely takes down Babs right at the back by the solar staircase as well, though, which gives them a little bit of an opening. Still, it's kind of waiting game on the top floor, right? You see Ben looking in these long angles, but so far not committing to pushing them out just yet.
Now we're still seeing Jaff waiting patiently behind a shield as he's expecting some more presence to come through. Marv being on as low health as he is, he can't exactly get into too many engagements. He has to be picky about what he can fight, as at distance that T95 isn't going to be necessarily the best weapon, despite the fact it still has the 1.5. We're starting to see Spack throw out some of these gas canisters, but with the Glaz on the other side, it is still going to be easy for the Glaz to line up and get the shots, as James, he's actually going to get the kill onto Spack. That's the smoke gone. That's a lot of that plant denial eliminated, as Deathly's going to be tagging up the player all the way at the back of site, but Marv just just a random spray is going to be able to secure that kill. Ben eliminates Jaff in response. Marv gets down. It's all left up to Matthew. 1 versus 3. The Kaid, he does have a nitro cell, and the plant is starting to go on down. Chucks it on out. It's landed almost perfectly. He gets the kill onto the glass. He is unable to line up the shot onto Ben inside of the lobby. As Thermite, if he'd been able to kill Iana, would have been easy pickings, but that does mean once again it's round number 15. We were here on Oregon, we're back here again on Chalet,
and the teams have broken the defender meta here today, Dino. Both of them winning the attack round in overtime. So are Swansea feeling good that they get to move on to their last round on attack? I'm not quite sure, but it's going to be attacking onto kitchen and dining room. The site they just defended, and that Exeter were just able to open on up. We've seen them win one of their attacks here, right? And a big part of that was they were able to get the pressure upstairs. They were able to peel away at the first layer of defense for Exeter, and then execute into the site with these long angles being watched to deny any attempt to catch off these diffused planters. Now, the early roam is going to be so important for Exeter. If you can buy time on this top floor, if you can catch out Vabs or Matthew or Marv early on, I mean,
10 seconds to go.
that opening pick is going to be very important. I was going to say, even Jaff's on 10 kills here. So many of these Swansea guys, so many of these Exeter players are all lurking on these double digits. Definitely 1 kill away from breaking double. It just shows you everyone in this game has been finding the important frags for their team, has been keeping things close, and that's why we're at 7-7. We're looking at a potential series point still for Swansea if they win this round. If Exeter win, we will need one more map to break our teams apart, Dino. I mean, I don't
think my heart could take it.
I was about to say, if we see another 15 rounds on a clubhouse, I could see it happening. But it's all going to start in the basement this time, with Vamps starting to make his way towards West Main, trying to get a bit of a side view on the site, perhaps.
We're definitely seeing a bit more of a concerted top floor push from Swansea than we saw in the last round from Exeter. They kind of were able to clear that space very quickly, and Vabs, oh no! He deals so much damage onto James, but isn't able to secure the kill, and is going to get traded out by Ainoob instead. Oh, that is not what you want to see if you're a fan of Swansea. Those nades have been eliminated, and Vabs, you can see that. He's got 18 kills. He's been the standout gunner for Swansea here on Chalet. But now it's going to come down to everyone else, and they're going to go for the down and reset onto James, who was on less than 20 HP, and they figured they had the time and space to do it. If you shoot someone through a wall in the legs with a pistol, you will down them.
Yeah, or you like throw like a piece of utility, right? You throw the gas canister at them and pray you don't detonate it on your injured teammate. Get a couple team kills in. Suns has to be careful. The breach is open up, but he's looking to try and get aggressive still. Swansea in that man count disadvantage. Now Matthew taking a bit of health damage, has to be careful. Is this Alibi still lurking on the side? Marv in a position to potentially try and pinch, but you still have that support from the bathroom doorway from Ben. Swansea not quite sure what to do here. They're running out of time as it's hit 50 seconds left. Finally able to get this dining breach opened on up. James whipping out that pistol once more, looking on these longer sightlines to maybe try and catch him out at the back of lobby, because they're just droning, trying to get as much information as possible before committing to a plan. But the one-tap headshot onto Marv is the start of the end for Swansea here as well. 30 seconds, finally going to make some pressure upstairs. The toxic babes ringing out, blocking you from walking in. Jaff able to go prone and get the shot onto the feet of Ben, gives them one back. But all these toxic babes, there is no way into sight. The one sort of bonus you can take from this, there'll be 5 seconds of freedom left at the end to try and commit to it, Dino. Now the smokes go through. Definitely tight with the shotgun, though. You've got to be careful. He walks to the breach, welcomes him. Matthew grabs one onto James as Jaff is able to get the kill back onto the smoke as well. In the 1 versus 2, it's not going to be enough, though. Sums able to drop down behind, win out the map. And Dino, we need one more map to separate these two teams in the grand final. A Yukin spot on the line, and it's going all the way.
Going all the way, and it's going all the way back to where it began last week between these two teams in that upper bracket best of 3, where it was Clubhouse to kick us off, and it was a
Yep.
7-4 victory to Swansea on that map. I mean,
You couldn't write it.
you couldn't write it. You actually could not. It's looking like it's gonna be a close one, but before we get there, we are gonna go to a quick break, and then we'll get down and find out who is going to be the winner of the winter split.
Transcend humanity with Omen.
What is that?
It's cutting edge VR, Flynn.
It looks like it's something from the future, you know?
Flynn took a trip to future London, saw something she wasn't supposed to. Now people from there are trying to kill us.
It's the Rainbow Six Siege Null Winter Split Grand Final. And Dino, it's gone to map number 5. We saw Oregon, we saw Sky, we saw Chalet, now Clubhouse. We'll determine who takes home the title. And well, if map record from this series is anything to go off of, we've had an 8-7 on Oregon, a 7-1 on Skyscraper, that's the quirky map. An 8-7 on Chalet. These comfort maps, the maps that both teams are bound to know, have been absolute storms. And now we get Clubhouse, Dino. We get to just bathe in this last final map as these two teams duke it out for victory.
Yeah, as Grace would describe it, the plowman's sandwich of a map. The map where everyone and their nan knows what to do. Now, we did see a lot of struggle from Swansea last week on this map. They were able to come through and win it, but considering the way that we saw Swansea play it the week before that, where they seemed incredibly confident, and in control, that isn't the Swansea we saw. Today, we're seeing a much better Swansea than we saw last week, but we're going to be going to Clubhouse, where we've seen it not go so well. Exeter definitely had their number at points. It was up in the air. I can fully see this one going to round number 15. Yeah, again, like I believe that will likely happen. But there is one important change that has been made. Exeter have subbed out James, who has been playing exceptionally well for them, but they're bringing in Pogo, who was one of our standouts from last week, who we both kind of went, yeah, we could probably call him MVP for the day if we wanted to. So I don't know how to feel about that.
It's interesting. Part of me thinks you keep the player who's hot in the game. You keep them in the server. But you can't take away the impact that Pogo had last week. And as one of their core main 5 players, if he was unavailable and now's been freed up, I think it's a sub you make, right? You bring him in, you get him in the game. Maybe it takes a couple rounds to see him hit his form. But if we see Pogo pulling off some of these roaming shenanigans that we did before, that could really change things up. Because I think for Exeter, they've looked good on their defenses, right? Yeah. They won 3 on Oregon. They won in main time, right?
Yeah.
They won 4 on Chalet. Sorry. The thing that's been missing from them is that spark of just something going awry. Sums has been doing a great job of playing that lurk. I think you add Pogo into the mix. That's a second player who can pull that off, who can add just another sort of dimension to some of these roams that they haven't quite had the same success pairing Sums with someone else. Bring him in, get that little bit of extra sauce, the secret sauce in.
I think that could.
The what?
Well, you zhuzh it up a little bit. Give it a little bit.
Zhuzh it up.
Yeah.
What's zhuzh?
You don't cook, do you?
I cook.
Sometimes
I cook a mean pasta. I can cook a mean slice of toast.
You know when you zhuzh up a bit of pasta, you just give it that little something.
Pesto?
It's not always pesto. Sometimes it's pesto, but sometimes you just give it that oomph.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to see if Pogo is the zhuzh to the dish of Exeter, I guess.
Exactly. That's it.
And what's more important, not only do we have a banger series, but we're learning how to use fun little words when you cook. Because everyone knows the more pretentious you are while cooking, the better a cook you are. And now we get to see the ban phase. It's Osa, first off the table. We've been seeing Exeter really leaning on this Osa ban on a lot of maps. When they've played it themselves, the first two, banned it away Chalet, banned it away here. Thatcher, off the board for Swansea once again. And, you know, we've talked a little bit about this, right? With the Thatcher ban, you have impact EMPs, you don't have to get rid of it. But Swansea's still feeling like they want to, and both teams have been running this Thatcher a decent bit when it's been available to help them get these breaches open a little bit faster. That Cade ban, that matches with the Thatcher. You get rid of the Thatcher, Cade becomes a bit of a pain to deal with, even though you have Maverick on board. You could Maverick trick some of these breaches open if you want to. Still not the kind of thing they want to deal with, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Clubhouse is a map that is fully decided by its breaching potential and by the team's breaching potential and what they can do. So, even with the impact EMPs, even with the Maverick tricking, getting rid of the Thatcher and the Kaid are incredibly strong, because then it frees you up to have more versatility with your operator lineup. You don't have to bring the Maverick to get rid of the exterior walls because they've got an electric claw on them. You can, you know, do something different because you can't position the bandit wires in the same way that you can the electric claws. So it does free you up a little bit, and I think that this is going to be one of the few maps where we keep seeing those Statue Kaid bands going into the future.
Yeah, and well, Basement is coming out first. Basement is a great sight to see, right? That's what you want to see it coming out first. I think we talked about this last week with some of the site options available. Cache CCTV, we'll still probably see it. Bar stock not quite reaching the same sort of comfortability level or planning around it set in place. But it's definitely fallen away, where Basement is now the most popular, and Jim's starting to leak into those rotations a little bit sooner as well. Swansea, on the attack, instantly gonna check out Strip, because we saw some of the plays coming out from members of Exeter last time. You don't wanna be dealing with this.
Not at all, as we're gonna see Swansea gonna clear through. The top floor clear was a bit of an issue for them last time. They would spend a lot of time trying to clear out the top floor, and they would get caught out, and something like this would happen where Babs would attempt to open up the wall as the buck and then get caught out by someone over towards the main stairs or rotating around up above. And again, we're going to see a little bit of pressure coming through, and these players being able to drop down safely into bar, no one in a position to contest them. It's looking, after a minute and 10 seconds, like a bit of a rerun of last week so far in terms of the way that Swansea's attacks are coming through. But it was primarily Swansea's defenses that gave them the upper hand there, as iNoob is going to disconnect from the server. We are too late in now to go for a rehost. So Exeter are going to have to play this opening round 4 versus 5.
Well, still looking to hold on to this Basement, still waiting for the hatch to start to get opened on ups. Back on that, Habana has the ability to remove a lot of the threat of the impact tricking, as Sums inside of Kitchen has been locked away. It's going to be very difficult for him to fall back, especially with the E1D locking down his position. Matthew gets the kill. He tries to walk out of the door. Not quite sure what kept him in Kitchen for so long, or why he wasn't able to escape earlier. Maybe going for a peek and just cut off. But now Exeter find themselves in a 3 versus 5.
Matthew's going to get shot up through the floor just a little bit. Not enough to take him down, but a little bit of chip damage as well coming through from, I believe that was an impact thrown by Pogo. It's also going to keep him low. It's going to stop him from being able to be aggressive on this floor and really going for those plays. Definitely is trying to be a little bit aggressive himself, wanting to hold this angle through this one opened up soft wall of church, as everyone's focused towards the main stairs for the time being, but Swansea are trying to open up other lines of sights. Ben, though, is going to get the kill onto Jaff. That's a nomad down as the kitchen hatch is starting to get opened up by Babs. With less than 15 seconds to go, Matthew starts to make his way on in, and he's going to be gifted with 2 kills. These players were not looking at him at all. Vabs gets taken down by Pogo as Spack is now starting to go for the plant. Matthew, holding inside of blue, is aware that this player was over towards the backside of Armory. He's going to fire some shots off, but as he crosses, Spack has been able to find his way inside of Church and is going to be there to secure the kill in round number 1.
And again, we've seen this a lot from Swansea. These last-minute pushes coming through where they just try and take a site by storm. And, well, when you have a player like Matthew, who's just very good at finding these picks and being very careful about them, you start to get these last-second takes a little bit more frequently, right? Because you're no longer worrying about as many things going awry when you can rely on your entries. Now, the big thing for me is I want to see Swansea just pick up the pace a touch. Because if we see too many rounds where they are coming down to the last 15, 20 seconds before they start to push on into the site, there will be times where you get caught off. You lose that entry pick, and now it's a lot harder. The crossfires are ready, you just get shut down. So, if they can be a little bit more cautious, then I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to make a judgment off of one round, and it's hard to make a judgment off of one round where a player's disconnected before anything's really happened.
That's also true.
Which is exactly the same situation we saw for the first round and the second half of Skyscraper. So it's going to be hard to make a proper analysis and a bit of judgment here, but I do think that Swansea's roam clear is still lackluster. It's still, like I was saying before, missing a little bit of something. It's not being as snappy. It's not being as tight. It's not, you're not going, right, there's someone up here. Someone sit on that construction window and just wait for him to run in and go towards the hatch. Get that kill there. There's not someone sitting around by the lobby of bar waiting for that drop down that stage hatch. There's not that sort of cohesiveness and that pressure so that when they do pinch these roamers out, because we all know if you're roaming on Clubhouse, it's not a fight to the death, especially when the site's downstairs. You get an engagement, you do a little bit of damage, you waste a bit of time, shoot a couple of drones, drop down a hatch. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat until you're back in the basement and you're there with your teammates. So you just need someone sitting vaguely close to whichever hatch you think they're going to go towards, and then you can shoot them on the land. Because when they're falling through the sky, they're not going to be there 100% accurate. It's just that levels to it. And it's that sort of bit that would make Swansea look really sharp on some of these takes. It's just not there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it still kind of worked out for them, right? There was no one really playing aggressively on the top floor, which meant they could clear through a lot of this space very quickly. Some's locked inside a kitchen kind of helped tie up their roam for them. And in that sense, they kind of were gifted it. And I think they did make that effort to clear out the top floor. It's difficult to say without having seen someone actively contesting it. And I think maybe losing one of their members early on before any action really happened is an incentive for the rest to be a little bit more cautious. You lose that 5th member, you basically lose that entry pick for free. You have to try and find a way to play more slowly around the clock and then get that advantage back later in the round. So do Exeter play more aggressively on the top floor if they don't lose that? And then does Swansea have a harder time picking them off? I don't know. And like you said, with only one round in the books, it's hard to tell. But that will be a big thing going forwards, especially on Clubhouse.
Yeah. I think sort of to highlight Sums in that round, I think he was always meant to be the suicide spot. Like, you are in kitchen, you are going to waste time, you're going to die. That is what happens. That is a viable strategy. If you know that player can sit there, waste a lot of time, burn a lot of utility, but ultimately they're going to die, it's sometimes worth playing. And with kitchen on Clubhouse, if you are in there past about the 45-second mark, you are going to die on the way out unless you pull off some absolute miracle play. And we were already past that point when we had the disconnect. So I feel like maybe that sort of gave away 2 kills for free as opposed to just giving away 1 kill as part of a larger strategy. If that was a strategy, if Sums was just slow on his rotations and got caught out in kitchen, sucks to be him, I guess. Like,
Yeah, I think you're close to the mark with it. It's a planned thing for him to be in this position. Just they didn't have the support around him to make it work. If you have another roamer, maybe you're able to cut off some of these crossfires in bar, maybe more presence around the rest of the map. I'm not quite sure what the necessary addition is. Maybe you just play with the kitchen hatch open. So yes, it opens it for your opponents, but when you're ready, you can just drop back safely. You're not at too much risk. You get back to site. You just play around the fact that the hatch is now opened, which is probably going to get done anyway. It looked like Pogo was giving himself the opportunity to impact trick, but didn't fully commit to it. So I don't know.
well, we might be getting a chance to see how they actually wanted to play it, as we are going to be getting on into round number 2. And for a second, the site selected was the basement, but they've switched on over to gym bedroom, not wanting to stick on the site they've just lost, despite the situations in which they lost it. So, gonna get a different flavor for this map now. And we are actually going to see the mirror being brought through from Deathly. So expect to see one of them being positioned inside a bathroom, and then I guess the other one in logistics looking for walls construction.
Yeah, setting themselves up somewhat standard, right? There's the one looking towards Jacuzzi, like you mentioned. I think the big thing for me is going to be seeing how Swansea clear out cache and server. And the reason I'm saying it's important for Swansea to do this is because that's the first step of a successful attack. Clubhouse is a map in which, if you come into it with your game plan, your checklist of how you're going to clear out a lot of these sites, you know what you're doing. You're going to have to successfully push back these layers of defense and have a lot of strength around this site. Clearing out cache on this push is really important so that you can play on the balcony looking into the site windows, gym, and master bedroom. And if you can have that control, Jacuzzi breach open on up, it's very difficult for the defenders to deny your moves to try and get the diffuser going down. Swansea, starting on this side of the map, will be opening up this soft wall, but it's the hard walls into cache. It'll be interesting to see how they choose to deal with them. They've brought Spack on the Ace, as well as Jeff on the Thermite. That extra layer of hard breach to give them a couple more options to play with.
Yeah, one big thing we saw from Exeter last week was Ben sitting precisely in the position that he's in now inside of cache. And he just sat there for a very long time, and no one from the side of Swansea dealt with him. And they lost rounds because of that. They lost at least one round because they weren't able to properly clear Ben because they didn't bring enough hard breach utility to flush him out of this side of the map. So seeing them bring 2 of these operators means that we should see them be able to open up both the Jacuzzi wall and some of these walls over towards cache to aid in the push. Because if Ben doesn't die here, he's got this line of sight that runs all the way across the front of these windows. And if you try and jump in that way, you try and go for a plant, you're going to be in a very difficult spot.
Impact EMP going off to try and get the frag grenade in. Does get the injure onto Deathly, loses his life in the process though. Was timed very well to land at the Mirror's feet. But now it's about how do they respond? How do they retake this control? As Pogo's been able to get into a position where he can pick up Deathly. Now they can retake that position up on the deploy on the mirror window, but it's been opened up in the meantime actually. So you're gonna have to fall back and give up that space to play with inside of the bathroom, playing on the metal sheet instead, but still this presence over in cache. Vab's able to grab the kill onto Pogo. That's the first kill for Swansea coming through since they lost Matthew. The first kill of the round for them as well, as Vabs just continues to work away down below, gets another pick onto Deathly through the hatch up into sight. And now, with this thermite charge going off, removing that castle barricade, they're giving themselves the option to walk on in. Ainu able to get down Vabs though. That takes away the threat. Retake that position at the top of main stairs as Swansea plunging into the site.
They've actually been able to work their way on in, but Ben from this strong point is going to get a double kill, and now it's all left to Spack. He was the first player to jump on into the gym bomb site, and he's going to be able to get the kill onto Sums. 1 versus 2. Ben is known to be far away, but the castle of Ainoob, it already works its way up the main stairs and going to be able to secure that kill and get the round for Exeter. As again, some of the same mistakes that we saw previously creeping through from Swansea, not clearing out that position from Ben. They lost 2 players to someone who was completely uncontested the entire round, despite them more than likely knowing exactly where he is. And you've got to fix that. You've got to find a way to deal with that. You've actually got to deal with Ben. You can't hide from him in that spot all the time.
Yeah, especially when, like, last week in their upper bracket final, they'd already seen what Ben would do if they left him uncontested in that spot on Wamai with the same gun. I think it's just... I'm not quite sure what the call is. Maybe they think they could just get away with pushing into sight, but there's a reason why teams open up that single wall from construction into cash, right? It's because you can sit in that tight position on the reinforced wall and just command this long line of sight. You can make it very difficult to jump in through those windows. It's not just the control of the balcony, it's the control of the jump in. And now, Swansea, they lose that round. Exeter back down to the basement. This time, they'll be hoping not to lose out anyone to a disconnect, which should help them contest this roam a little bit longer. You can see Ben on this lesion now, throwing these goo mines around on the middle floor, just to add an extra sort of obstacle for Swansea to overcome.
So choosing to come back to the basement instead of attempting cash definitely showing how much the map and the meta has shifted away from what was once the most standard go-to default site on the map. As we're going to see, Swansea set up for a similar sort of take as to what they did last time, but Sums is choosing to be a bit more aggressive, and it might not be droned out. In fact, the pre-fire is going to give up Jaff's position, but the shots in response from Sums don't get anything so far, and Vabs, he's going to try and open up that jacuzzi wall, and this time he's going to get punished by Ben, and Ben's going to double up with the kill onto Marv as well. Maybe that wasn't over by the jacuzzi wall. Not entirely sure where those 2 kills took place, but the important thing is that they did. Sums is going to get one onto Matthew, and Spack trades out that. And Swansea's attack once again, not looking great. Sums, how do you get away with that?
Oh, that's disgusting. I mean, once again, Spack finding himself in an unenviable position. In the 1 versus 4 this time. Last time they only left him 3 to deal with. It's going to take another big play to try and pull this one back. Whipping out the bearing 9, trying to look for the player getting pressed on the stage, but that bouncing from the bearing not going to do him any favors. It's going to be Pogo creeping up to the stage, able to get that last kill. Ooh, spicy little flick. But you know what? That's why you sub Pogo in when it's down to the wire, right? And well, now Exeter taking the lead, looking to go for their next offensive win, and it's going to be CCTV and Cash finally making an appearance here. 4 rounds in, now we get to see it. And the Bandit coming out from Deathly, I think, is one of the really interesting changes here. You lose access to that Cade, it's been banned away, so tricking becomes a lot stronger. But Dino, tricking this wall has always been a little bit difficult to do.
Yeah, especially since players have now long since mastered the ability to throw nades from below. So, I mean, I know that whenever I try and play and Bandit trick this wall, I generally die in about 10 seconds of the round starting from someone throwing a nade at my feet. So it's going to be very important for Exeter to make sure that they can hold on to some of that lounge, just to protect, definitely to protect those Bandit wires and keep this going, because we've seen Vabs before throw nades at people's feet, and it's been highly successful for them, and I imagine that's going to be their plan going forwards here.
Yes, particularly Matthew, right? He's been very good at getting these openers for his team with those frag grenades. Ooh, black ice on the L8 as well. Well, I like seeing black ice skins. Sorry, I just can't resist. They look very pretty.
It's had it on all day, and you're just noticing
I know.
now.
But like, it just sprung to mind that I like it so much now. All right.
You forgot that you liked black ice.
You're twisting my words here, Dino.
I think I'm just relaying the facts, and
I didn't forget that I liked black ice. I just clocked the black ice now. I've been so invested in the frag grenade play from Matthew that the gun skill, while spectacular, And whilst it's been absolutely fragging out, I've been focused on where the reticle is, not the gun skin, Dino. I'm a professional, you see.
But skins equals wins, so you've got to
That
pay
is
attention.
that is true, actually. Yeah, good point. All right, checkmate. Well done, you win.
While we've been making jokes, the teams have been making progress, particularly Swansea, who are clearing all the way over from Master Bedroom. Matthew, man himself, is inside of logistics. He's opened up this wall and is giving himself and his team a nice, decent line of sight. Ben is downstairs. There seems to be some inkling of an idea of where he is, but it's going to be definitely to get the opening kill onto Matthew. As attempting to hold that logistics angle winds up with him getting caught out. Now these shock wires, I believe, on that single construction wall are really hampering the plans of Swansea and slowing down all their momentum.
Especially because Jaff has already used both of the impact EMPs. Spack already lost one of those exothermics to the bandit tricking from Deathly. Pogo getting aggressive on the window, takes down Marv. As things go from bad to worse for Swansea now, Ben adds to the tally. Finally, Jaff able to get a kill for his team. The Nitro Cell flying out the doorway, takes most of his HP away. Fabs still downstairs below, doesn't have any grenades in pocket, so will require him to walk up red stairs. They're trying to get the timing on this together. One EE1D left for the Lion, but it's on cooldown because he just used the previous one. Where's Fabs going to? Where does he want to take this approach? Going to spray up through the floor just to try and cause some distraction as the Lion, using the last charge, trying to swing onto Deathly, but Deathly bites back and takes him down again. Deathly for the double kill so far in the round, and not looking like he's going to slow down anytime soon as Fabs, well, he's taken over Spack's job. He's now the one in the 1 versus 4. These defensive rounds from Exeter have been really strong. They are not losing many members, they're not risking many lives, but as I say that, Fabs gets one through the floor, another pushing down the staircase. The timer is still very much against him because he's not going to be able to get on the site in time. It would require the remaining 2 members to swing on out into him, which isn't going to happen. Exeter, they still have 2 members alive at the end of the time, and they win the round. And now the timeout being called by Swansea Storm. This is probably an appropriate time to use it.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely sense the potential that this one could start to slip away from Swansea. There is still a lot of time left in this game, in this map, in this series. It's still got potential that Swansea are going to be able to bring this back. It's just going to be very difficult now. We've seen a complete successful defensive rotation coming through from Exeter.
Yep.
We saw how weak Swansea's attacks were last time, but their defenses more than made up for it and were enough to give them the win. I don't know. This timeout sort of speaks to me that they don't have the confidence in that.
It will be interesting to see. This next round is going to be a big deal breaker. It's Gym and Bedroom that Exeter are going back to now. We need to see them take that more direct approach at clearing Ben out of cash. Right? They were in the 3 versus 3. They had the opening into sight, and what happened? They lost 2 members jumping in through the windows. Right? Ben just able to hold this long angle. Reflex sight takes them down. Spax finds himself in a 1 versus 3. And that was really the beginning of everything starting to go wrong for them. Clear out Ben. Just do a little bit, put more focus on taking this control away from Cash, because they're fully reinforcing this wall. They're not giving themselves the rotation onto top red. You can go down below into lounge. You can come up that way if you want to. This time it's being less soft, so maybe they open a rotation later on. But look, focus on this side of the map first, please, Swansea. Let's just see a nice, solid clear. But instead, the early indicator of these 2 members already in docking, the rest are on the other side of the map. So this could just be a case of Spack and Marv wanting to work at getting the breach open first.